new Comiskey Park in Chicago, Illinois. ESPN's Wednesday Night Baseball presents the Boston Red Sox and the Chicago White Sox. Hello once again, everyone, and welcome to ESPN's Wednesday Night Baseball. I'm John Saunders. We'll get you out to New Comiskey in just a moment. Very big ball game for both these two teams as they're chasing the leads in their respective divisions. But first of all, a big ball game this afternoon. This in the National League, where the Los Angeles Dodgers, the leaders in the West, had lost 6 consecutive games as they went up against the Philadelphia Phillies, trying to end the streak, but Dale Murphy just throwing his bat at the ball, and this is the way it's gone for the Dodgers. Dykstra comes in 2-1. Tommy Lasorda concerned as Dennis Cook walks Darren Daulton. John Kruk comes in, and the Phillies are up 3-1. They go on to win it 4-2. Their first home sweep of the Dodgers since 1982. And the Dodgers have yet to win since the All-Star break. They've lost 7 consecutive games. Giants and the Mets. Mets down 5-4 in the 8th. The pinch hitter, Kevin McReynolds, facing Dave Righetti, and he lifts his ball to left field. His 8th home run of the year. The Mets' 7th pinch hit home run ties the game at 5 apiece. Still tied at 5 in the 9th. Jeffries on 3rd. Sapson, shallow fly. Down the line, it's foul. Mike Felder, he's coming home, but not in time, and the Mets win it 6-5. They've won 12 of 14 games with a 1.71 ERA over that period. The Rangers and the Tigers in the American League. Bobby Valentine has had this look since the All-Star break, watching leads disappear. 2 errors, one by Rafael Palmeiro, leading to a couple of runs. And then Rob Deere with his home run, number 19 on the year off Rosenthal. Detroit wins it 6-4, the 3rd consecutive game the Tigers have won in their final at bat. Rangers have lost 6 of 7. Tigers have won 5 of 6. We want to remind you that following this game, SportsCenter and then baseball tonight, we'll take a look at the end of Joe DiMaggio's 56-game hitting streak and plenty more, so keep it right here. In a moment, we'll get to the Red Sox and the White Sox from New Comiskey on ESPN's Wednesday Night Baseball. Stay with us.
The Chicago White Sox are playing in a new ballpark, but the foundation of the present team is the result of successful first-round draft choices from manager Jeff Torborg. In 1987, it was Jack McDowell. He reached the majors in his first professional season, is now the ace of the White Sox staff with 11 wins. 88, Robin Ventura, college baseball's top player, now hitting .287 at the major league level. 89, Frank Thomas, the 6'5 slugger, leads the team in home runs and RBI. And last year, Alex Fernandez jumped from junior college ball to the major leagues in less than a year. This 21-year-old could see action tonight in long relief. The White Sox are on the rise. Meanwhile, Joe Morgan's Red Sox have faded into 3rd place, dropping 6 of their last 10. They're now 7.5 games behind the Blue Jays. So tonight, Roger Clemens is called on again to be the stopper to help rebuild the confidence this team has exuded through the years, because another early exit will surely raise some eyebrows. There it is, the new Comiskey Park, still at 35th and Shields, and they're bringing them in. Tonight, the Boston Red Sox come to Chicago to take on the Chicago White Sox. And both these teams trying to get to the top. In the East, Toronto. Boston had been there. Now Detroit's gone ahead of them. Both Oakland and Texas lost today. Chicago's got a chance to gain a game. Hello, everybody. Gary Thorne, Dave Campbell, welcome. ESPN's Wednesday Night Baseball. It'll be another packed house here at Comiskey Park. Roger Clemens will be on the mound, and Dave, the question to be asked, is there anything wrong with the Rocket?
Not that I've seen, and not that too many of the hitters in the American League have seen. Some people say he fell too much in love with his forkball early in the season, lost a little velocity on the fastball. Other people said his control has been so good that hitters are kind of digging in on him because he didn't walk too many people. He kind of made up for that by drilling John Shelby. Maybe they won't dig in so much. But basically, I don't think there's anything wrong with Roger Clemens, and his manager, Joe Morgan, is getting tired of being asked about it.
So there's nothing wrong with the guy. At the current rate, he'll win over 20 games. How many guys in the league are going to do that?
Well, I guess he's got a point there.
Short and sweet.
Short and sweet. For the Chicago White Sox, they have got a 23-year-old star legitimate, Frank Thomas.
He is so mature beyond his years, Gary. He has a great eyes leading the American League in walks, on base percentage, a great-looking young slugger. He is really the cornerstone of this franchise, and I think the White Sox have a couple of young players that they can really build on in Robin Ventura and the Frank Thomas we talked about.
For the Boston Red Sox, leading it off tonight will be the 5th best hitter in the league. Wade Boggs will be at third base. Jody Reed solid at second, batting second in the lineup. Platooning at first base, Carlos Quintana, he'll hit third. The DH, Jack Clark, 3-game hit streak. Mike Greenwell, over 300 now. He'll start in left field. Ellis Burks has got an 0 for 17 going. He'll be in center. Tom Brunansky, hot stick at the plate in right field. Tony Pena will be doing the catching, batting 8th. And this is the Red Sox slugger, Luis Rivera at short.
Pitching for the White Sox tonight, left-hander Greg Hibbert. He's 26 years old, out of Memphis, Tennessee. This is his 19th start of the year. He has been victimized by the home run ball. He's tied for number 2 in the American League with 17. He's going to have to keep the ball in the ballpark tonight. Hibbert always knows who his catcher is, because he says when Carlton Fisk goes into a squat, it sounds like the Rice Krispies popping in his knees. Checking the rest of the White Sox defense, Dan Pasqua at first. He hasn't played first since '88 until this year. Joey Cora is in there because of the quickness. Ozzie Guillen has made an uncharacteristic 16 errors, and Robin Ventura, a good-looking third baseman. Lance Johnson, 74 straight games without an error. He has made a couple of sensational catches last night. The youngster Warren Newson is in right field, and Tim Raines is in left under humid conditions.
What a beautiful night, though. 89 degrees. Humidity is up there, but those skies couldn't paint them any better than that. And at Comiskey Park, they'll have another big crowd up over that 30,000 mark in all likelihood. Wade Boggs ready to stand in against the left-hander. The Red Sox winners last night, 2-0. They got a combined shutout last night against the White Sox, who had won the opening game of this series 7-1. So the Boston Red Sox will wrap it up here tonight. They will be heading home. The Chicago White Sox will be getting a day off tomorrow as well before the weekend series against Milwaukee. Boggs takes the strike, and we are underway in ESPN's Wednesday Night Baseball. See Wade's numbers much lower than last year. He was up there at 270 mark against left-handers last season. Hibbert gets the ground ball to Joey Cora at second base. Boggs is down, 1 away.
When Wade Boggs is playing pepper with the second baseman, that's not good. He went 0 for 5 last night and bounces out to Cora. Boggs likes to hit the ball the other way.
Wade is gone, and that will bring up Jody Reed. Reed working at second base. The Red Sox this season against the left-handers are 9-13 against left-handed starters. The number is a bit deceiving when you look at their batting average. They're hitting .278 against lefties as a team. But that has not resulted in runs. One of the big Red Sox problems this season against right and left-handers is leaving people on base. They are tops in the league, or bottom, if you want to put it that way. They've left more on than anybody else.
Red Sox 8th in the league in runs scored, and Joe Morgan figured with the money they spent in the offseason, his offense was going to be a lot better than that.
That has really hurt. Where the numbers we've talked about before, Dave, stand out here. They are 3rd in on-base percentage in the American League as a team, but they are 9th in slugging. You've got to deliver extra base hits to score in baseball. And if you don't, you leave people on base. Hibbert gets that one fouled off. Jeff Torborg talking with him before the game tonight. Greg Hibbert is starting on just 3 days rest instead of the usual 4. Hibbert is a sinker ball pitcher, and Torborg said we hope by starting him a day early that with the arm a little more tired, the sinker ball will work a little better. If he's getting ground balls, he's on. If they are getting fly balls off him, he is in trouble. 1-2 delivery to Reed is going to be a base hit into left field. Tim Raines over to get it. Reed will make the turn and will stay as Raines gets it back in. 1-out single to Jody Reed. Well, the new Comiskey Park, everyone wondering what it's going to look like at the end of the season. As far as the numbers, 347, 375 each way, and a long pop 400 straightaway center field. But it is a ballpark proving to give up some home runs. It has that Yankee Stadium kind of design in the outfield with that steel structure. All those scoreboards seem to direct the wind in a swirl here in this park, but it'll go both to right and to left.
Talked to Joe Nosick, one of the coaches of the White Sox today, and he thought the ball really did fly early on when it was colder, but he said most of the home runs lately have been legit.
Detroit came in here for that first series and hit enough home runs for a whole year. Runner at first base, Quintana. That's a fair ball. Hibby will go to first base. Gets it to Danny Pasqua. Reed moves down to second. Quintana's on at first base. Jeff Torborg originally was going to pitch the youngster Fernandez in this game tonight, but as we said, Hibbard's on. Jeff gave us the reasons.
Well, Greg Hibbard has been scuffling just a little bit with his sinker, inconsistent sinker, and we felt that bringing him back on short rest, it might help. Alex struggled his last outing, and we're working on his mechanics, so it's a combined thing, and the fact that we have an off day tomorrow also affects all that. Alex will be back in the rotation as of next Tuesday.
Talked to Sammy Ellis, a pitching coach, and Hibbard has given up 17 homers, but he said the thing that really hurts is 5 of them have been 3-run shots. He said when he's tried to come in on right-handed batters, he has not gotten the ball in good enough with the cut fastball and the fastball in. So he said that's one of the things he's going to work on tonight, or try to work on.
Let's see if he can get that ball down low. Wants to keep it low and in the right spots on this guy, Jack Clark. 3-game hit streak, 4 for 11 during the streak. You see the home runs and RBIs. Even though the average is at 221, he has shown some signs of late. Getting the bat going. Oh my gosh, way back in left. Goodbye home run to the back of the bleachers. Number 12 for Clark, and it is 2-0 Boston.
Well, the tail of the tape they have here says the longest home run this year, 484 feet by Danny Pasqua. We'll have to see where that one measures out. But Jack the Ripper usually has great second halves, and he clobbered. That was reminiscent of the ball he hit off Niedenfuhr in the '85 playoffs.
What a shot by Jack Clark.
Get the women and children off the street on this one. Look at that full extension, and I mean, Garrett, you're right, to the back of the bleachers. Did it go over? It was
very
close.
Right there in that last row. So Jack Clark adds 2 more RBIs to his totals. He now has 40 on the year. And Greenwell to second base. Joey Cora. Nice play by Cora to get Greenwell out of there. Hibbert has now given up 18 home runs on the season. 1 here, and it's 2-0 Boston. Cardiac Kids of Baseball, they have had 21 wins in their last at-bat. For the Chicago White Sox, Tim Raines, second in stolen bases in the league, will be leading it off. Robin Ventura, he can hit against the Rocket. He'll be at third base. This guy can hit against anybody. Frank Thomas, the designated hitter. Home runs for Danny Pasqua. They're coming. He's at first base. Back from the All-Star game, Carlton Fisk, he'll be catching. Playing in his 27th game for the White Sox, Warren Newsom in right field. Lance Johnson, a speedster, makes the start in center. Joey Cora has now taken over the second base job. And batting ninth, another All-Star, Ozzie Guillen at short.
Well, the Rocket Man, 28 years old. He is out of Katy, Texas. He's in his 8th major league season. Those numbers, when he started out 6-0, those may not look that good, but he is still the main man of the Red Sox. Clements, 127 and 57 lifetime. He has some impressive numbers in his career. Tony Pena will be catching, probably putting down the number 1 finger a lot for the fastball tonight. Checking the Red Sox infield, Jody Reed, kind of the glue that holds it all together, whether he plays second or short. Luis Rivera has had a great offensive year. Wade Boggs and Carlos Quintana. And telling you about the outfield of the Red Sox, it'll be Mike Greenwell in left, Ellis Burks in center, and Tom Bernansky in right field.
Couple of notes on that home run by Jack Clark. It's only his 3rd home run against a left-hander this season, even though he's batting .317 against lefties. The other thing, just for the fun of it here as we go along tonight, the Boston Red Sox, when they score first, are 35-10 this season. However, the Red Sox have had real problems hanging on to a lead. They've outscored the opposition in the first 3 innings of ball games, but after that, tend to get beat up on. So let's see which of those things holds true tonight. See the Rockets numbers. lifetime, there's not been a lot of difference on the road and at home. Not nearly the kind of difference you see from the numbers that he's had this season. Well, the White Sox have had to battle from behind. They have given up first inning home runs now in 3 of the last 4 games. No wonder they've won so many games in their last at bat. It's a constant struggle from behind. Tim Raines leading it off. 2 for 7 lifetime against the Rocket. Ball 1 up high.
Clemens serving notice early on. Don't dig in. That one right under his chin.
Raines got a very slow start. He has picked the pace up. Very important for the White Sox that he get on base. They got him for the leadoff spot because he can still run, tied for second in the league in stolen bases. And is a switch hitter, batting .297 right, .249 left.
They got me with this one. Tuck Turner. I thought I was a pretty good historian. For some reason, Tuck escaped me, but I've heard of Frankie Frisch and, yeah, Pete Rose. But Tim Raines only 1 of 4 with a lifetime batting average as a switch hitter.
Off the fist that time. Wade Boggs may have room. Raines is gone. 1 down.
A couple of clubs that have waited an awfully long time for a world title. Red Sox 1918, the White Sox 1917. Only the Cubbies have waited longer. 1908.
Well, certainly both teams are in the running to make their league championship playoff series. The White Sox had a real down spell, a 2.5-week period. They seem to be out of that now, and did not cost them a lot of ground, as they are but 3.5 games out with a chance to gain on a couple of teams in front of them. But the Wild West is staying that way. You've got everybody in the West playing .500 baseball except the Kansas City Royals. Well, that's a great division. Robin Ventura. He can hit Roger Clemens. 6 for 14 with 1 home run lifetime against 21.
That was his first major league home run against Roger. One thing you got to like about the White Sox, though, as you compare them to the Red Sox, is the age factor. The White Sox had the youngest roster over the winter in Major League Baseball, and their future is in front of them.
Boggs again. Twice Clemens has gotten the pitch in. Once on Raines, once on Ventura. Both times it ended up in Boggs' glove, and there are 2 down.
Well, we often talk about how the hitters like to get their arms extended, and the man coming to the plate right now, Frank Thomas, is the prime example. The book on Thomas is pound him in and keep pounding until he shows he can hit it. If you get a breaking ball out over the plate, he's going to undress somebody. This is a great outside hitter. He dives into the ball.
What a season for him. He's 0 for 6 against Roger Clemens, so he's looking for his first, and there's just what Dave was talking about. Clemens just advising that he owns the inside part of the plate.
Now, this is one of the things Roger said about himself. He says, my control has been so good that hitters are starting to dive across the plate. Clemens is going to take back the inside corner. He did it to Raines. He did it to Frank Thomas, and that's nothing but good pitching.
And another fish shot, but Thomas strong enough to fight it into the alley. Ellis Burks bobbles it, but not long enough for Thomas to move, so Thomas gets his first hit off Clemens. 2 outs and a single. And coming up will be Pasqua. First, though, John Saunders.
You had Jack Clark's home run in the first inning while the Orioles and the Royals. Mark Gubicza pitching to Randy Milligan. He goes to center field. Horn and Anderson aboard. Gone for the home runs. 3-run shot, but the Orioles weren't done against Gubicza. They've added 1 more, and they're still at the plate in the first. Back to Gary and Dave.
Moose Milligan's come on. Some home runs. He can drive it, and Baltimore needs it. They need a lot of runs, as they have struggled all season and still are. Here's a guy who can drive the baseball for the White Sox, Danny Pasqua. 2 down, a runner at first base. And he fouls it off. Pasqua platooning at just about every position. He's playing at first base. He's a designated hitter. He's also played in the outfield. He's had 31 starts at first, 14 in right, 8 in left, and 6 as a DH. All that adds up for him is playing time. He'll take them anywhere they come from. 1-1.
Well, I don't know if Frank Thomas had a chance to ever see the great Frank Robinson. Frank only 23 years old, but that was vintage Robinson. Get dusted off and step right back up and hit a line drive. That's the way you're taught to do it. You don't go charging the pitcher. Make him pay by hitting a ball hard somewhere.
That's part of that maturity, Dave, we were talking about on Frank Thomas. For a 23-year-old and just really his first full season, he plays like he's been around 5 or 6 years. He is fearless at the plate. Clemens 1-1 to Danny, and Pasqua takes the inside pitch, 2-1.
Well, he has a total concept of his own strike zone. I mean, 75 walks. He is not going to chase pitchers' pitches. You have to throw the ball to him, and when you get it in the zone he can handle, he hammers.
6th in RBIs. First in on-base percentage. Pasqua to left field. Greenwell backing up, carrying. He's got room. Almost had a tie ball game. That ball is traveling tonight. You get it in the air to left field. It looks like it'll leave the yard. A single by Thomas, but he is stranded, one complete from Comiskey. Greenwell hauling it in to end the inning.
Second place in the West. They'd won 3 consecutive games facing the Cleveland Indians this afternoon. In the 5th, they had a 1-0 lead, but Glenn Allen Hill with a 2-run home run off Bob Welch. Witt was aboard, 2-1 for the Indians. Rod Nichols trying to end a 13-game losing streak, gets Jose Canseco. Complete game, first win since September of 1989. Let's get it back to Gary and Dave.
And John will keep us posted tonight on the other Major League Baseball games. Boston has won 6 of the 8 games these teams have played this season. They've got the early lead here. Ellis Burks did not play last night. He's in an 0-for-17 slump. So he's in there against the left-hander. He's batting just .250 against the lefties. This has been a real disappointment for the Red Sox. Those 32 RBIs in particular. A 1-0 slap foul. It hit him in the batter's box.
Ball had good sinking action on it that time from Hibbert, but the ball that Jack Clark hit, he tried to get in on him and he didn't. He threw a 4-seamer, and I mean it stayed there, and Clark left immediately.
Hibbert gave up just 11 home runs all of last year. He has given up 18 already this season. That's the problem that he's had. And that's a real concern because he led this ball club in innings pitched last year, 211. So giving up 11 home runs was no small task. It was a great accomplishment for this lefty. The 1-1. Ellis takes the breaking ball, 1-2.
Hibbert will feature the fastball, the cut fastball, a slow curve, and a straight change. But he's got to establish in at least to get some of those hitters off the plate, because Ellis said some of the hitters are diving in on Hibbert. We talked about the opposition against Clemens.
Yeah, one of the statements being made tonight, Jack Clark was asking Steve Lyons, former White Sox player and teammate of Hibbert, about Hibbert's delivery. And one of the things Lyons said is he won't back you off the plate. That'll be a foul ball deep and long. And boy, if you don't back him off the plate and you don't have a burning fastball and rely on positioning of pitches, you better be right.
Well, the new concept in hitting in the major leagues over the last 15 years has been more to stay off the plate and dive in and use the whole field. There aren't as many dead pull hitters as there used to be in Major League Baseball.
Comes inside to him there and misses, and the count is full on Ellis Burks, 3-2.
I think one of the reasons for that is the tremendous variety of pitchers that pitchers are throwing now. I mean, it used to be fastball, curve, and changeup. Then the slider came in the 50s, and now we got forkballs and splitters and everything else.
Got him. He knew it. Hibbert, who is not a strikeout pitcher, just got that one in the right place. First strikeout for him, 1 down in the second.
Talked about Hibbert's inability to come in. Look where Fisk sets up. Look where he hits it. Look what Ellis Burks is doing. He's diving in to try to hit the outside pitch. And that's a good pitch from Greg Hibbert. And Ellis Burks very frustrated using the throws of an 0-for-18 right now.
He has now struck out 49 times this season. Not a particularly high number. He has 24 walks. And that will bring up Tom Brunansky, 6 for his last 19, as the Red Sox look to yet another one of their power hitters to try and deliver when they get people on base to cut down on that left on base percentage. Brunansky's been up and down this season. Right now he's in an upswing. Takes that one down low, 2-0.
I just learned something from looking at Brunansky's socks. Red Sox have a black stripe on their socks.
He's got them up there, doesn't he?
Yeah, nobody else wears the pants that high.
Not a good number right there. They got him because of the great average at Fenway that stayed that way. So, of course, he gets a base hit here at Comiskey. And Brunansky is on his first hit against Hibbert. He's 1 for 6, 1 on, 1 out. Here's John.
Budweiser takes us now to Cincinnati, where Jack Armstrong of the Reds is working on a 3-0 lead. but not for long. The heat down the middle, and Zeal reverses it to left field, gone for a 3-run home run. The Reds blew a couple of leads last night and lost their 8th in a row, trying to end that streak, but it's tied in the 4. Let's get it back to you.
2-0 here with Bernansky on at first and 1 out and Pena up.
Sometimes it seems like when you're in the abyss like the Reds and Dodgers are, it seems though there's no end in sight. But they will win another game, folks.
And that's in for a strike. I think the secret, like the White Sox did, Dave, if you go into those kind of streaks we can still hang close to the numbers, staying in the race, then you figure you got to have one of those during the year, get it over with, and don't lose too much ground.
Yeah, the Dodgers are flying home from Philadelphia right now, so I can tell a little secret about what their clubhouse meeting is going to be about tomorrow. Tommy Lasorda will come in and give his famous 1927 Yankees speech. Hey, the 1927 Yankees lost 7 in a row. Well, I'll tell you what, I don't think the 1927 Yankees did, but Lasorda says, none of my players know that.
Yeah, that's what he does. That's his story. Hibbert working inside. The count even on Tony Pena. 1 ball and 1 strike. Pena's tearing it up, getting signs at third. There's Dick Bernardino, third base coach for the Boston Red Sox. Pena's gone 10 for 30 against the White Sox this season.
Tony, along with Jody Reed, one of the 2 guys who will hit and run once in a while. Red Sox have a 2-0 lead. Pena hits the ball on the ground. Bernansky doesn't have real good speed, but Hibbert's around the plate, so they may put a play on here.
Maybe what Tony was looking for. That sign's given so seldom that he has to look twice. And he rips it into left field for a base hit. Over to cut it off is Raines. Bernansky, a big turn, will head back to second base. Ozzie Guillen knocks it down. It was a rifle shot, so Pena continues his average against the White Sox, and Hibbert has now given up a home run and 3 singles in just an inning and a third.
Wouldn't be a bit surprised to see Alex Fernandez start getting up in the pen. As you see, the Red Sox hitters are getting full extension on their swings, and that is not what Sammy Ellis wants, the pitching coach of the White Sox. And he's going to talk to Hibbert about it. Greg's just not locating his fastball, and when he's throwing it for strikes, it's not getting the good movement on it.
Hibbert was 14-9 last season. He had a 3.16 ERA, which was the 8th best in the league. That ERA has jumped a full run a game now, run per 9 innings, 4.19. And there is Fernandez into the bullpen for this very reason, that they may need him in what is virtually a starting role, very long relief. Here at Comiskey Park in Chicago, where the White Sox and Red Sox are going at it. They will have the big crowd here on this beautiful night to wrap up this particular series. Boston's lost 5 out of their last 7, so the wins have come hard for them, and when they've got the rocket on, they especially want to win. We are delighted to have you with us here on ESPN's Wednesday Night Baseball. Hibbert will now work to Luis Rivera. We're talking about during the starting lineups, this is the Red Sox slugger. We weren't kidding. Would you have believed at the start of the year that when you talked about Luis Rivera, you would be talking about the best slugging percentage on the team?
Started on the bench. Tim Nehring got the call. Nehring had a slump and then back problems. He's had surgery since, but Rivera has made the most of the opportunity.
He is now in that position. He's got a 5-game hit streak, 8 for 18 during that particular streak. And Rivera, the extra base hit department, 5 homers, 3 triples, and 15 doubles. They give him that slugging percentage of .475.
That's why we don't pay a lot of attention to numbers in a certain year, folks. He hit .172 against lefties last year, .393 this year. You have to do it over a career to really establish a trend.
Talking to Lou Gorman, the general manager of the Red Sox, who's here, he says without Luis Rivera's bat, they would be in severe trouble. He has been 1,000 times anything that they expected, because they really expected nothing more than a backup shortstop from him. 2-1 count, 1 away, 2 on, 2-0 Boston leading. Chance for another rally. Joey Cora's got that. Ozzie Guillen on the pivot, and a great one. The pass drop. All-star shortstop move right there at second base by Guillen. He knows where the cameras are. Luis Rivera hitting into just his 3rd double play, and as we said, Ozzie Guillen, he's got a little mustard on him out there, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Looks like another Ozzie. Ozzie Smith with the mid-air acrobatics, but he makes a very accurate throw to Danny Pasqua, and the bottom line is 4.63. And the Boston Red Sox, who set a all-time world record for hitting into double plays last year, haven't been bad this year, but they hit into 174 last year. And Ozzie and his number 13 went south.
If he knew the camera was on him, he would not have done that.
Yeah, you got that. He's in training to be a future Lasorda.
That's right. He loves the game, thinks it ought to be fun. I love him for that. Here's Pudge, having yet another outstanding season at the young age of 43. And obviously, they love him here in Chicago. The home runs started a little late this season for him, but as you see, he has now put it up to 7. Very respectable numbers, and working games behind the plate and at first base. And as a DH, as they try and rest those knees once in a while. 1-0 count. He has always done well against his former teammates. He loves batting against the Boston Red Sox. Clemens, the 1-0 delivery to him, and foul back. That'll even the count up at a ball and a strike.
A lot of unique numbers about this date. Of course, it's the date that Joe DiMaggio's 56-game hitting streak stopped. He and Carlton Fisk both have 361 lifetime home runs. They're tied for 38. This is also a famous date in Red Sox history. I'll tell you about it in a second.
The big triples.
You got it.
Pudge hitting .310 this year against his teammates, .319 lifetime, and that other number.
It was 1 year ago tonight, July 17th, that the Boston Red Sox became the first team in Major League history to hit into 2 triple plays in one game against the Minnesota Twins. And they won the game the next night. They hit into 6 double plays, and they won that one, too. Guess you knew it was going to be their year in 1988 or 1990.
Kind of tells you, doesn't it?
Oh, man. 6 double plays and win, and 2 triple plays and win.
2-2 count on Carlton Fisk. Pudge this season with 56 games now as a catcher, and of course did go to the All-Star game as the 11th All-Star game. Became the 4th oldest player to appear in an All-Star game. And Clemens with a breaking ball on him gets the strikeout. Rogers got 130 Ks on the season now as he leads the league in strikeouts. 1 away. Don't forget this Sunday, Dave Campbell going to be on the road. Sunday Night Baseball will be taking place in Pittsburgh right here on ESPN. Larkin is having a great season. He, too, at the All-Star game. He's barreled over a lot of people and done an outstanding job in the infield. For Bonds this season, he's right back on target. Reds and Pirates, they'll match up 8 o'clock Sunday night from Pittsburgh. John Miller, Dave Campbell will have it. Clemens working inside. Take a look at Warren Newsom. He's been up and down from AAA this season. Newsom, a star of the future as far as the Chicago White Sox are concerned. He's got a real good major league swing.
Clemens continues to work inside on the first pitch. Of the hitters that have come up, at least 4 of them have seen something under the belt, under the hands, or under the chin. He is just basically saying, guys, I don't want you to get too comfortable in the batter's box.
Rocket is 1-0 against Chicago this year. This is his 3rd start against the White Sox. He is 9-6 lifetime. And Newsom fouls the pitch back. A ball and 2 strikes with 1 down. A 2-0 lead for Boston. The question about Roger Clemens has been his hitability. Last 2 starts, he's given up 11 hits against Minnesota and against Detroit. Won Detroit 7-4, lost at Minnesota 5-4. He's had 1 game against Texas where he gave up 13 hits. His strikeout high this season is 10. He's still on top in Ks. He's got to cover first. Nice flip. A quiet cue. Carlos Quintana didn't even bother to take it out of the glove. Didn't think he had time.
First day of spring training. You have PF pitchers fielding practice, PFP, and this is what you work on. Plays like this. Carlos Quintana makes a beautiful play. Clemens got off the mound lightning quick. That play is the way they designed it on the chalkboard.
Where they're getting some production. Quintana's platooning with Vaughn. Quintana's hitting .304. Vaughn's hitting .259. Quintana's got 6 home runs. Vaughn's got 3. Quintana's got 34 RBIs, and Mo Vaughn has picked up 15. pretty big numbers.
Yeah, and Mo's just been there a short while. In fact, his RBI production has been terrific since he came up from Pawtucket.
2 down, bases empty. Lance Johnson, 0-1 count on him. Clemens chopped down to first again. That's a foul ball. 0-2. Mentioned Clemens in the strikeout department, also third in earned run average at 2.38. So with an 11-6 mark and all those numbers, you wonder why there's been some concern about Roger Clemens. Well, the concern is the fact that he has given up some hits. Last couple of ball games in particular.
Some people think he's changed his mechanics. We talked to Joe Morgan about that tonight, and he said, nah, nothing we've seen. And Bill Fisher pretty much the same way. One thing Morgan was quoted as saying in a baseball column by Ross Nguyen in the Los Angeles Times last week is Morgan said Clemens has been getting squeezed by the umpires, and he thinks it's a result of the Cooney thing. We haven't seen any indication of that tonight.
Fouls that one off. 1-2. Let's take a look at the Rocket.
Head down, hands behind the head. Looks like the delivery I've seen for a number of years, although he is leading a little more with that front arm than I kind of have the mental picture of him in the past doing.
28-year-old, 127 wins, 57 losses. 1-2 delivery. Talking with one of the Red Sox players who I'll leave unnamed, I asked about Clemens' mechanics and changing it, and the player said Roger changes his mechanics every third game on his own. He likes to tell that to the press. It wasn't Tony who told that to me, but he was one of the Red Sox regulars. Here's the 2-2 delivery. Got him. Just plain old heat. 2 strikeouts by Clemens. He retires the White Sox in order. We've completed 2 at Comiskey. 2-0 Boston. It started against the Chicago White Sox on May 15, 1941. Little did anyone know that it wouldn't end until 55 games later, July 17, 1941, exactly 50 years ago today. During the streak, DiMaggio hit .408 with 15 home runs, 55 runs batted in. The golden anniversary of a baseball record that may never be broken. And on SportsCenter, following our baseball game tonight, they'll be telling you more about the streak, and they will be talking with Yankee Clipper. Wade Boggs leading it off against Hibbert.
Walt Hriniak would be proud of that swing the Clipper took because it looked like his head was right on the ball. In fact, Hriniak says if you watch film of Hank Aaron and Willie Mays and Roberto Clemente, they always took long strides but always had their head right on the ball, which is his basic philosophy.
Ozzie Guillen, Wade Boggs on the check swing is retired. He's 0 for 2 and a couple of ground ball outs. Walt Hriniak has always said that Charlie Lau, who was his mentor, used to go back and look at those old films that were available on some of the great hitters, and that much of what Lau and Hriniak's theory is goes back to the kind of swing DiMaggio had.
How about Rose? Remember how he used to follow the ball into the catcher's glove when he took it? I mean, it was like a hawk. Just move that head right watching that ball. And basically, Walt, I think, gets a bad rap in certain instances, but his basic philosophy is keep the head tucked in. Some of the other shenanigans some people don't agree with, and I'm not going to get into that because I was not a real good hitter.
Well, he has taught a lot of these players tonight because, of course, he was with the Red Sox before coming over to the Chicago White Sox, and you'll see a lot of that Hriniak-Lau theory. Reed talking with Carlton Fisk about Fisk being a little too close for comfort, I think.
Say, Pudge, get back there. I'm going to hit you with my bat.
Reed singled his first time up, batting .267 on the season. Having said that, the Pudge, you'll probably move up a half step. Here's the 1-1 by Hibbert. Right center field. Long way to go for somebody. Johnson and Newsom. Johnson. And there are 2 down here in the third inning. Let's check in with John Saunders.
The Atlanta Braves started the night just 4 games back of the Dodgers facing the Cubs in Les Lancaster. Terry Pendleton with the rude greeting here. His 10th home run of the year is a 2-run shot. The game was delayed because of rain. That was a start. It's now raining once again. But right now Atlanta's up 2-0 in the 4th. Back to Gary and Dave.
Amazing thing about that Atlanta streak, no Sid Bream, no David Justice, and they've been able to win 5 of 6 going into tonight.
They do not want rain when you're playing well. And the Dodgers lost today, remember, so Atlanta can pull within 3.5 with a win. Carlos Quintana He grounded out his first time up. There are 2 down, nobody on, 2-0 Boston leading here in the 3rd inning. And Quintana has that one bounced. He is batting .380 against the left-handers. Picked up a couple of his home runs off the lefties.
And the fact he hit .352 against the lefties, then we can start to draw a little bit of a conclusion over 2 years that this guy likes the southpaws.
Yeah, big time. Greg Hibbert, 1 ball, 1 strike. Boy, take a look at that infield of the White Sox. They are so far back. If you ever wanted to lay a bunt down any direction, he's got maybe a double. They're on the outfield grass. Literally at second and short.
You know, they figure with 2 outs, Carlos is going to try for an extra base hit for sure in this situation.
1 ball, 2 strike count on him. Greg Hibbert, left-handers are hitting .263 off him. Right-handers .269. And the off-speed pitch is fouled off. The home runs primarily have been hit by the right-handers, as you would expect. With Clark's home run in the first, Hibbert's now given up 14 home runs to right-handers and 4 to the lefties.
Ever so slowly, Greg is starting to make more quality pitches. He made 2 or 3 mistakes in the first inning. Then he got a couple of balls up in the second. But this has been his best inning to this point. Better location. He's been on the edges.
1 ball, 2 strike count. And talking with Torborg again before the game, he says they are really concerned about Greg Hibbert, because if they are going to make a run at it, Torborg says we have got to have Greg Hibbert on. He's got to be pitching well. We need him in that starting rotation. 2-2 delivery, and it's a full count.
The guy who's really been a godsend to the Chicago White Sox has been Charlie Huff. Even though he's only 5-5 in his last 13 starts, 12 times he's gone at least 7 innings. You just don't know what that does to be able to give your bullpen a night off. He has really been a big plus for the White Sox as they've climbed back into contention.
Only 3 over 100 innings. He's one of them. That'll be a foul ball. Jack McDowell, their leader at 11-4, has pitched 141 innings. Hibbert 124, and Charlie Huff 106.
Yeah, and Charlie missed 2 or 3 starts at the beginning of the season on the DL with a heel problem. So he has really picked up the slack. It's allowed the White Sox to go with 10 pitchers instead of carrying 11. And that gives them an extra bat to try to maneuver late in ball games where they've been so potent offensively.
3-2 count, 2 down. Nobody on. Hibbert's pitch, and this one is fair. Robin Ventura over to Danny Pasquik, and a 1-2-3 inning for the White Sox left-hander, and a couple of those on the ground, and that's where he wants the baseball to end up.
ESPN Major League Baseball is brought to you by Miller High Life, by that man a Miller, by that fan a Miller, and by Volkswagen. Experience the European driving experience we call Farfetnugan, only in a Volkswagen.
We hired that boat to come in just as we were going to show you this. Isn't that beautiful? It's not Lake Gitchigumi. It's better than that. Shoreline and skyline of Chicago. Joey Cora up.
Kind of thought I was back in Toronto again, over on Olympic Island, looking back at that skyline. Beautiful city, Toronto, and certainly Chicago. One of the great cities in America.
Sure is. What a job Toronto did with the All-Star game. Congratulations to the whole city. Joey Cora fouls it off. Cora has moved into the job at second base and has replaced Scotty Fletcher now as the regular there because of those numbers you saw. He's a scrappy ball player. You see what he's doing at home. He certainly loves it here. Fletcher's struggling with an average just over 200, not getting a lot of at-bats now, but the consummate pro, talking with him before the game, he says, hey, I'm ready to play. I know I'm on the trading block. No question that the White Sox would like to work a deal for another starting pitcher, but who wouldn't? Dennis Martinez, of course, in Montreal, the whole world wants him, and Fletcher's one of the people that the White Sox would put in a package if they could work a deal for a starter. 2-1, Cora drives it to center. Look at the ball. Carey Burks can't get it. Cora's at second. Cora's on his way to third. Relay to the shortstop. Not in time. It is carrying tonight.
Well, Ellis Burks started back like he had it in sight all the way, and it just kept carrying and carrying and carrying, and even the Gold Glove outfielders can misplay one a little bit. He thinks he's got it all the way here, tries to move it into the afterburner stage, and just off the tip of the glove.
So Bob Rosen, the official scorer, is going to make the call. He'll look at it again, and it's a triple. So Joey Cora is on at third base in a 2-0 ball game. That's the second hit off Clemens, and brings up Ozzie Guillen, a .279 lifetime hitter against Clemens. And that's to second. Runner coming home. The play will go to first by Reed. RBI for Guillen. It's 2-1. Let's check in with John.
Astros and the Pirates. Pirates have won 7 in a row in the 5th. This is Bijou at the plate, and Bobby Bonilla simply sees it go through his wickets as Finley comes in to score. Drabek would be chased. For the second consecutive game, the Astros lost their pitcher in the first inning. Deshaies last night, Portugal tonight with a groin injury, but they lead it 5-1 in the 5th. Back to Gary and Dave.
Credit Ozzie Guillen with the RBI. That'll be Guillen's 22nd. It is a 2-1 ball game now with Cora scoring. Right back up the middle by Tim Raines. Clemens will help himself out. And there are 2 down. Joey Cora credited with a triple for Cora. That is his third 3-bagger. He has no home runs, no doubles, and 3 triples in 95 at-bats.
Well, it brings a couple of dimensions that Scott Fletcher doesn't have. Speed being one, and, of course, the quickness of field. Fletcher helps make up for some of the lack of quickness with his great positioning by playing hitters, playing the count, studying charts. But Cora, more physical talent right now than Scott Fletcher.
Robin Ventura with 2 down. Ventura has been on a tear at the plate. He had his hitting streak of 11 games snapped last night. He was batting .346 in his last 12 games and has 15 RBIs during that time. Batting .283 in the season as he stands in right now. And Rogers got another ground ball again off the fist and gets the out. So the White Sox get the leadoff triple by Cora. They pick up one of the 2 runs that they were down by, and Clemens will leave, leading 2-1.
Time now for Miller High Life streaks, peaks, and valleys. Streaking the Reds and the Dodgers in the wrong direction. Winless since the All-Star break. The Braves now in second and closing on Los Angeles. Peaking, Mike Henneman of the Tigers. 32-6 lifetime at Tiger Stadium. The winner in relief last night. In the valleys, Rob Dibble. His first blown save in 24 chances. He tied a Major League record when he was 23 of 23. Let's get back to Gary and Dave.
And we've completed 3 here. Red Sox leading by a score of 2-1 on one pitch that ended up a long way back. And this is the guy who hit it out. Jack Clark, 4-game hit streak for him now, and he takes the pitch by Hibbert away. This was in the first inning, Dave.
Well, we talk about the big guys like to get extension. Woo-hoo. Send my mail to the Tijuana jail, because that ball went about 435 to 40 feet. They said 419. I don't agree with that.
Yeah, it had to be longer than 419. And hang time was pretty good, too. Well, will he have a big second half? Red Sox need it out of him, especially with a long ball. Red Sox finished 12th with 106 home runs last season. The home run hit by Jack Clark is the Red Sox 67th home run, so they're not very much ahead of the pace they had last year in the home run department, which always surprises people who think because they play at Fenway Park, home runs are automatic. 2-1 pitch to him is up high by Hibbert. 3-1.
Sox have hit more home runs on the road 6 consecutive years than they have at Fenway.
This season for Boston, they've got 30 at home and 37 on the road. So it continues that way. Hibbert has settled in here, retiring the side in order in the 3rd. And too careful to this guy. Jack Clark will draw the walk. Not unusual for him. That's 55 on the season. He is 6th in the league in walks. The leadoff man on here in the 4th inning. First walk given up by Hibbert.
Talked to Jack before the game tonight. I said, "You're going to have one of your usual big second halves?" He says, "I sure hope so." Well, I said, "Make me look good," because on a roundtable discussion, I said, "You were going to explode." maybe look good the first time up.
Well, he can explode. Another guy who can. Mike Greenwell grounded out his first time up. .314 batting average, 9th best in the American League. And Greenwell is also 9th in hits. He has 101 base hits. Leader in the American League, Cal Ripken, with 116. So pretty well clustered in that top 10 right now.
Greenwell called for a players-only meeting yesterday, and he said they just wanted to discuss that, hey, we're going not so good right now, but let's hang tough. Let's continue to believe in ourselves. Yesterday was kind of an anniversary of sorts for the Red Sox. It was July 16th, 1988, when Joe Morgan took over, and they went on that terrific tear. They were 9.5 out, and 11 days later, they were even. So the Red Sox feel, hey, if somebody can get after Toronto a little bit and we can start winning, maybe it can happen again.
Toronto's just been so hot, and the Red Sox ended up going into this losing session at a time when Toronto was winning, so Toronto was able to pile that lead up. So now the Red Sox have got to chip away and just can't afford to have a long losing streak and really need a good win streak here. 1 ball, 1 strike count on Greenwell. Clark's on at first base, nobody out. A 2-1 Boston lead, top of the 4th inning. Big cut on Hibberd's fastball, 1-2. Hibberd knows how important he is to this White Sox staff. Very quiet, very contemplating before the game today for a usually very outgoing Greg Hibberd. He's feeling some pressure. 1 ball, 2 strike count. This wants a check to third. Did not go around, says Mike Riley, the crew chief.
Okay, sometimes pitchers tough to figure. 1989, Tom Glavine of the Atlanta Braves, an excellent pitcher, and then all of a sudden last year he kept falling behind hitters, got hurt with the home run ball. 1991, Tom Glavine maybe one of the, well, he is one of the top 5 pitchers in all of baseball.
Joey Cora finds again. Danny Pasqua. Second time we've had the 4-6-3 double play in this game, and there are 2 down.
Now, Red Sox fans everywhere go, when are we going to stop hitting into double plays? Well, the Red Sox do not have a lot of team speed, and if the sinker ballers can get the ball down, the answer is never.
They rank 11th in the American League in hitting into ground ball double plays. 11 out of the 14 American League teams, so they're right up there. For the reason Dave says, boy, it hurts to get the leadoff man on. Now there are 2 down and nobody on. Greenwell has hit into 8 of those ground ball double plays this year. That's what Hibberd wanted. Now he faces Burks, who was called out on strikes his first time up.
One thing the Red Sox do not do is they do not start runners very often. And it seems, though, with a fairly decent contact hitting team, when the count gets favorable, maybe Morgan would start a few more guys to stay out of those twin killings. But that's not his style. They play a lot of station to station, wait for the big inning. That's been kind of Red Sox tradition for years. And when they're hot, it works. But sometimes when you're struggling a little bit, you got to make some things happen.
1 ball, 1 strike count. Joe met with his GM before the game today, Lou Gorman. There's that sinker, that turnover screwball type pitch, 1-2. Gorman continuing to phone, trying to work a deal for a pitcher, trying to work Mike Marshall somewhere. But boy, Marshall about ended all hopes of that. The White Sox were thinking about Mike Marshall, and he came out yesterday blasting the White Sox GM Ron Schueler. Got him. Burks knew it. That is twice Hibberd has struck out Burks. There's only 2 strikeouts, and Burks is now 0 for his last 19. Two runs, 4 hits for Boston, a run on 2 hits for the White Sox. 2-run homer by Jack Clark in the first inning, bringing home Jody Reed, who had singled under the moonlit sky. RBI and a ground ball out by Guillen for the White Sox. That's where we are. 2-1. Clemens and Hibberd, and a good pitcher's duel here. And here's Thomas again, and again the inside pitch. Clemens did that to him the first time, and Thomas came back, singled into right center.
Some hitters you can keep pounding inside and they'll give in and get off the plate. Not Frank Thomas.
Goes to the outside part of it and finds it. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Classic pattern of pounding in is then throw the breaking ball, try to get it away. But sometimes you're playing right into Thomas's strong suit because he's a great breaking ball hitter.
He had 2 home runs in the first game of this series against Boston. That was his first 2-home run ball game. He has now hit safely in 5 of his last 6 games, going 9 for 25. Keeping that on-base percentage up along with the average, which is at .307. Clemens, a little high and away. 3 balls, 1 strike. Clemens this season has walked but 31. Nobody in this game. That's 31 walks in 140 innings.
Thomas has just hit 13 of his 16 home runs in this park.
He's on. Well, I'll tell you, there's a personal duel going on right now between those 2 guys. John?
Reds have lost 8 in a row, and it's not getting any better. Jack Armstrong to Gerald Perry, out to right field. Ozzie Smith trots in to score. Ray Lankford tried to come in as well. The throw to the plate. Sutko has it, the tag, and he drops the ball as Lankford scores. It's now 6-3. Rich Gedman, former Red Sox catcher, has a home run as well. Back to Gary and Dave.
Reds just can't find the right button to push. He leads the league in walks. Thomas on with 76 base on balls this season. Danny Pasqua is up. Wanted to finish that comment on Mike Marshall, to be fair. Marshall really attacked Ron Schuler, the GM of the White Sox, and there was a reason for it. The White Sox have been rumored all season to be talking to the Red Sox about a deal involving Mike Marshall. And the reason Marshall was upset is he says Schuler's the reason there's been no deal anywhere. He says every time somebody else started talking to the Red Sox or the Red Sox were ready to release me, which is what Marshall wants, Schuler would become indecisive again and start talking about a deal. And he says if Schuler had just made his mind up earlier instead of going back and forth, and there is Mike Marshall. Marshall believes there would have been some kind of deal or a release by Boston, and he's really mad that he's not somewhere else.
This has been going on since early in spring training of this year. The only thing we know for sure is Mike Marshall will not be wearing a Boston uniform next year.
Fouled off. The Red Sox have anything to do about it and can get something done. He won't wear it for the rest of this season, but a lot of money involved, and he has become an enigma. A lot of bad comments made about him. I'll tell you, talking with Dodger players where he starred with Los Angeles, you talk to LA players, they say he was a fine teammate and they speak highly of him. Just hasn't worked anywhere else. 1-2 delivery to Pasqua to center field. Ellis Burks almost misjudged that one. Thomas back to first base.
Ellis probably wondering what's going on. I mean, he struck out twice looking tonight. He's already misjudged one ball and almost lets this one get over his head. Pasqua gets good extension, hits the ball hard, and this ball almost gets away from Ellis. Mel Hall was talking to Ellis recently and basically said this man is not happy in Boston. He wants out. Ellis did get married over the All-Star break. That should have put him in a good mood, but since the All-Star break, 0 for 19, and it kind of appears like his mind is elsewhere.
Hard to believe, isn't it? Star the Red Sox were counting on for a long time to come. And not putting the numbers up, and as you say, Dave, not happy. That's not what they wanted to hear. So Burks is there, another guy who you wonder for how long. Carlton Fisk with one down has Thomas on at first base. 2-1 ball game. Clemens with 1 walk and 2 strikeouts. Got one of the strikeouts against Fisk in his last and first at bat.
Of course, one of the great things about baseball, Ellis Burks goes on a tear for a week, goes 15 for 27, and all will be well. That's just the nature of the game.
Batting .261. Pudge fouls it off, and there'll be no play on that one. Amazing that at the ages of 41, 42, now 43, he has had higher batting average each of the last 2 seasons. .285 than .293. And as soon as someone says, Pudge, it's about time you retire, he works out a little harder after the games and shows he's not ready to go anywhere yet. Thomas at first. 0-1. 1-1.
Haven't seen an awful lot of Roger Clemens' forkball tonight. He's throwing a cut fastball and a fastball. I don't think he's used the forkball nearly as much, and that could be by design. Again, some people felt he fell in love with that forkball and then started to lose velocity on the heater.
That fastball misses down low. 2 balls, 1 strike.
He cut that one a little bit again, too, and that's what he struck out Fisk the last time. Pretty good location. I'm not quite sure how Fisk laid off that pitch.
Fudge relaxing himself to be sure the strike zone's a good one. He does not want to help Roger Clemens out here. That was a tough pitch to stay away from, cutting down and away. 2-1 delivery to him. That one in the air to left center field, not deep. Greenwell, the left fielder, will put it away. So Thomas, who had the leadoff walk, is still at first base. Now there are 2 down. And it'll leave it up to Warren Newsom to try and get this guy around. Barry Foote, the first base coach, talking with Thomas.
Well, we're in the 4th inning. That's not a bad total at all for Clemens. Where you worry about Rogers when he gets up over 135. If he does that consistently, in the past, that's when he comes up with the shoulder problems. He did have a start a while back where he went 147 pitches. And Clemens has been known to break down with shoulder problems during the season.
Little challenge there to Newsom, who goes after it and misses. Strike 1. Warren Newsom is going to get some playing time with the Chicago White Sox this season, and they hope in the future as well. Newsom playing in his 27th game. He's had only 42 at-bats this season, but is batting .293. Jeff Torborg is very high on him. Says Newsom needs to develop a better arm for the outfield, but believes at the plate they have got a good solid runner. He's got speed and can hit the ball for extra base hits.
Sammy Sosa, who figured to play every day, is struggling at .202 and has struck out 81 times in 250 at bats, nearly 1 out of every 3. So against a lot of right-handed pitchers, Sammy Sosa is going to have to bide his time. They're going to put him in a platoon situation right now with Newsom for a while.
Sammy on the bench, came out for extra batting practice today. Newsom hitting .369 at Vancouver in 111 at-bats, couple of home runs, triple and 12 doubles. Also had 5 stolen bases, the AAA team. There goes Thomas, and that's it. It won't matter. Called out on strikes as Clemens got that one at the knees, down and away. Clemens now has 3 strikeouts in the game. Leadoff man is left stranded at first base. Well, Bo, of course, is here. He's working out, took some batting practice in the cage yesterday, and went out in the outfield early this afternoon just to play a little catch with his buddy Frank Thomas from Auburn University, and then also played a little game of pepper with a couple of teammates. So he's working his way back. Hibbert ready to go. Brudansky the ground to third. Robin Ventura. That went away on 1 pitch. When will Bo be back is the question, and he says maybe the end of August. Herm Snyder, the trainer, says we'll see.
Shoeless Bo Jackson. They did a promotional campaign here, a takeoff on Shoeless Joe, who of course played with the White Sox, Black Sox for that matter.
Bo's not talking to the press right now, and understandably so. He's anxious to get back, and they just want to let him come around on his own time and not rush it. If they can get him back this season for any playing time, it'll be a lot more than anyone thought.
I got a kick. Not only were the infamous, the omnipresent ESPN cameras filming Bo out there, but I mean there were about 9 cameramen out in left field around 4 o'clock today.
Right by Hibbert. Tony Pena, a shot up the middle, and Pena's 2 for 2. Boy, is he tearing it up now. That's 12 for 32 this season against the White Sox, and Hibbert went down on that one.
Now the good news for Hibbert is the last 4 outs other than a strikeout have been ground balls. Greg just did not field his position. He squared off, but he didn't really get his glove in a position to be able to handle that. A lot of good fielding pitchers, Randy Jones, Jim Cott, a couple of guys come to mind, would have eaten that ball up.
That is going to be hit number 5 for Boston, and it comes with 1 away here in the 5th inning, and we'll bring up the number 9 hitter Luis Rivera. Hitting into a double play in the 2nd. His average now at .298 for the shortstop with a 5-game hit streak. They will hold at first.
One of the hidden things about being able to field your position if you're on the mound is the fact that as a former second baseman, I know when I had a good fielding pitcher out there, I did not have to cheat to the middle as much. I could cover the hole between first and second as opposed to up the middle because I knew that guy was going to grab it.
The little steps that make a difference. Pretty good lead for Pena, who has picked up 4 stolen bases in 6 tries, and Hibbert decides to step off. Hibberd's got a decent move, being the left-hander, of course, looking over. Pudge has done pretty well at throwing people out this season. Hibberd does have a delay getting it to the plate, though, once he's ready to deliver. So runners tend to get a pretty good jump. See Fisk looking down. And that is a foul ball. 0-2.
Talked to both Sammy Ellis and Joe Nosek today, and they said that Hibberd in the past has had that problem. They've really worked on him with that slide step and have him down to about 1.3 seconds. So he has improved in that area, because he was very slow getting it to the catcher.
And if you're slow, you don't give your catcher a chance to make the plays at second base. Base stealers last season, 58% against him. He had 3 pickoffs last year. Pudge, the knees are holding up pretty well. Tony Pena hollering at nobody in particular.
Yeah, well, just out there having fun.
0-1 count. And that'll be fouled off by Rivera. 0-2.
Tony gave the Sox a dimension they weren't quite used to last year. He had 8 stolen bases. In the previous 9 years, Red Sox catchers had a total of 3. So, Tony will catch you with the element of surprise once in a while.
You can't do that. He'll talk you into it.
He is a throwback. He loves to play this game. He just comes to the ballpark. He says, I'm going to get my hacks and I'm going to have fun. And he does.
0-2 count with 1 down. Boston leading 2-1 here. And Hibberd inside. That'll even the count. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
With the exception of the time he struck out Ellis Burks on a 3-2 fastball in. Again, Hibberd cannot seem to throw a strike inside. He has come in off the plate a couple of times, which still is a good idea, but he can't get that strike on the inside part.
1 ball, 2 strikes, throws to first. He comes from a long way over towards first base on that pitching slab. And that just accentuates that baseball coming into those right-handers.
Yeah, you really have to throw across your body to get it in there.
See how far over he is in that set position. Pena's going. Fisk with a throw, and he is safe. I think the tag was missed by Cora, who had to reach back, because it looked like the ball was there in time.
Well, if indeed Cora did miss the tag, that's 2 days in a row that Joey has missed a tag when the ball has been there long ahead of time. It happened in the last night's game between the Red Sox and White Sox as well. Tony has a fairly good jump. It's a hit and run. He looks over his shoulder, sees that he's going to have to slide, and not definitive from that angle. Let's try this one. Fisk has to handle a low and in curveball. Joey Cora has got it, and the tag is on the back, and Pena's hand is on the base. Good call by second base umpire Gary Cederstrom.
In fairness to Cora, throw was towards the first base side of second. Perfect throw would have had him, but that's about what it would have taken. So Pena gets the stolen base, and now the count is full. 3-2 on Rivera. Pena gets himself in scoring position, his 5th stolen base. Hard to believe you'd see Luis Rivera second to Cal Ripken when it comes to offense by shortstops in the league, but it's the way it is. Boggs waiting on deck, and he got him. Hibberd, he's saying a foul ball now. Is going to argue about it at the plate, but not for very long, as he did not get a piece of it. 2 down. John?
Well, that shortstop not making contact, but this one has. Cal Ripken Jr. has actually been struggling since the All-Star break. Goes to the opposite field on Gubas's breaking ball, scoring Anderson. That made it 5-0. Anderson having a good game as well. Now 7-0. The Orioles are coasting in the 4th. Let's get back to you.
Thanks, John. Boston leading here 2-1. They've got a runner in scoring position now with 2 down, and Wade Boggs, who can get him on home in those situations, up. Takes it away for a ball. Wade Boggs with runners in scoring position this season, batting .306. And you see he is a contact hitter. As Jeff Torborg checks the book. Fouls it back. Boggs has grounded out twice, once to second and once to short.
what those numbers told Jeff Torborg is Wade Boggs is 3 for 9 lifetime against Greg Hibbert. He was 3 for 7 coming in. He's 0 for 2 tonight. He also is looking to see what Jody Reed did in behind.
Boggs coming into the game batting just .234 against left-handers. 1-1 delivery to him in the air to center. Ball continues to carry here tonight. But Johnson had it lined up deep in the warning track, about a 400-foot fly ball by Wade Boggs. No runs, a base hit. Tony Pena left on. Red Sox have stranded just 2. So have the White Sox. Boston up 2-1.
ESPN Major League Baseball is brought to you by Old Milwaukee and Old Milwaukee Light. It doesn't get any better than this. And by Daihatsu from Japan, makers of Charade automobiles and Rocky 4x4.
Well, the big house coming in again for the Chicago White Sox. Do you realize the White Sox are second in home attendance only to the Toronto Blue Jays, who are going to draw about 4 million this season? It's the White Sox. You see the numbers right there on the average. The White Sox are probably going to pick up. They've already sold 2.5 million tickets, so they're going to be close to that 3 million mark. They are third in the majors, second in the league in home games. Pitches up high to Lance Johnson. So the new ballpark and this exciting White Sox team have really rejuvenated the interest on the south side. 1-0 delivery to Johnson. Foul tipped off Roger Clemens.
Did you do something bad here or something? They just put a welcome on the board for us, and I got top billing over you. What's the deal?
Well, I used to work here, and guess that tells you what happens.
This is the time you went to it, they switched.
That's all right. Ned and Jerry, too, are here. Here's the 1-1 by Clemens. That misses up high. 2 balls and 1 strike. Lance Johnson, 3 for 20. Now lifetime, having struck out his first time up. Clemens 1 walk, 3 strikeouts in the game. But a 2-1 ball game. And he, after the high one that time, Reed's got it. Over to Carlos Quintana. 1 away here in the bottom half of the 5th inning. Another note I was interested in, I saw that according to the Major League office, in the sale of goods with logos on them, merchandising, the Chicago White Sox now with these new uniforms and new logos have moved into 3rd place in sale of merchandise. What team would you think sells the largest amount of logo merchandise? You know, the uniforms, the hats and caps and all that stuff.
Baseball?
In baseball.
A's.
The A's?
Yeah.
They are second.
Let me think.
It's the team that in the long run you would expect.
The Yankees?
The New York Yankees.
Yeah.
Despite all the losses they've had over the last 5 seasons, the Yankees still sell more merchandise with their logo on it than any other in baseball.
Where do they all compare to the currently hot Chicago Bulls?
Well, since it's the same owner,
he doesn't care.
He doesn't care. There's one of the exciting things for the White Sox. A lot of families coming out to Comiskey Park, and certainly one of the reasons is this new ballpark, which is so amenable to fans. They've really built this for the fans. Lots of room in the aisles, access much better than the old Comiskey Park, which is almost totally torn down now. Will be a parking lot for next season. There's not a lot left to the old ballpark across the street.
Same architects are building the new park in Baltimore that's going to be open next year, and we've just heard rave reviews about that new yard.
You seen that recently?
I've seen a lot of artist renditions of it, yes. I haven't seen the actual park itself.
We were in Baltimore a couple of weeks ago for a Friday night game. What a beautiful park. You're right. It is going to be gorgeous. It's right downtown. They've got some work to do on traffic, though. Well, I don't know how they're going to get people in and out of there, but I'm sure they'll work that out. And that big warehouse, that big old railroad warehouse, which is now an office building outside the outfield fence, is gorgeous. 2-2, look out, Joey. Joey has been stabbed before on the streets, and that's about what that fastball would feel like if he ever got hit by it.
Let's see if this one had a little cutting action. Yeah, he throws the cut fastball again, and Cora just picked up the spin in time. Woo, that's got elbow written all over it. And Joey doesn't have a lot of meat on those bones. That would have not have felt too good.
3 balls, 2 strikes, 1 away. Clemens has not hesitated to come in. Cora right at him. Quintana will take it to the bag. Those White Sox don't back off, but Clemens is getting the job done. 2 down. There's some real personal battles going on. See Cora going to the dirt against Clemens. Clemens went after Thomas before. Look at those eyes.
Yeah, when you're 6'6", 240, you can run back to the dugout screaming at Clemens. But when you're 5'9", about 165, you kind of got to just glare.
Guillen had the RBI his first time up, and a ground ball after Cora had tripled. On a ball misplayed in center by Burks. That's the White Sox run. Guillen at the plate now, batting .262.
That might have been Clemens' first splitter of the night. The bottom fell out of that one. I have not seen any action like that on a pitch all night.
2 down, nobody on. Guillen. 1 ball, 1 strike. There you see something Ozzy's working on himself. That's taking a pitch. Guillen is right up there with any free swinger you want to talk about in baseball.
Last year, Ozzie Guillen saw the fewest pitches per at bat of any player around. One of the reasons he doesn't strike out very much is he doesn't stay around long enough to strike out. He goes up hacking.
He's only struck out 22 times, but he only has 6 walks.
One of the things to look at is watch where Tony Pena is sitting his glove up, because Clemens is really hitting it on a regular basis.
That one on the outside part of the plate. Mike Greenwell, opposite field, has it, and a 1-2-3 inning for Clemens, who preserves his lead as we've completed 5 here at Comiskey in Chicago. 2-1 Boston. And hello to you. Gary Thorne, Dave Campbell, Comiskey Park in Chicago. Red Sox are leading at 2-1. White Sox at their new home, 23-19 coming into this game. They are batting as a team, .268 at home. Down to third base. Ventura had a tough hop. Makes the play. Nice play on Jody Reed.
A lot of people think everybody fields with their glove. You field with your feet, and Robin Ventura really did some quick footwork to get himself in position to grab that ball. Watch him here. All of a sudden, boom, moves the feet to handle the tough hop, and then it's academic from there. Good work by Robin Ventura. Not speedy, but he does have very quick feet.
Going to be around for a long time at third base. Never got his AAA year in. Would like to have done it. They needed him here at the major league level. He survived it.
He got his AAA year in the first half of last season, and he really struggled. He went 0 for 41 at one time, and anybody that can survive that and come back the way he did has already passed the acid test.
One of those very mature White Sox have. Carlos Quintana taking the first pitch for a strike. 1 down, nobody on. Quintana's gone 0 for 2. Still batting at .302 on the season. Greg Hibbert, 3 strikeouts and a walk thus far. Gave up the 2-run homer to Clark in the first inning. Red Sox have stranded only 2 in this ball game. They were in scoring position. White Sox have had only 2 left on against Clemens. They were both at first base. And Quintana takes Hibbert's breaking ball. 2-1.
Gary, at the top of the telecast, we talked about the 4 number 1 draft choices of the White Sox who are with the club, but the White Sox notoriously were not able to develop their own players. Only 3 out of the 208 players on the All-Star ballot this year came up through the White Sox system. That is changing. Ron Schuler, and of course you got to give some credit to Larry Himes, who was here before.
Building from within once again. Major League Baseball is the thing to do.
Red Sox on the other side of the coin. 10 guys in their lineup counting the pitcher tonight. 6 of them are farm system products. Everybody except Tony Pena, Tom Bernansky, Luis Rivera, and Jack Clark. The other 6 all products of the Boston farm system.
3-1 to Quintana to center field deep. Going back, Johnson makes the catch. And you saw how far that was hit. Lance Johnson was acquired by the White Sox because of his speed, and he uses it in center field. 2 down. John?
The Orioles and the Royals in the 4th inning. Ben McDonald with a shutout until Danny Tartabull goes to center field. Home run, his 22nd of the year. tying him with Jose Canseco. Cecil Fielder, of course, leads the majors with 23. It's 7-1. Back to you.
You mentioned Kansas City, the only team in the Western Division of the American League not playing .500 baseball. 2 down, nobody on. Clark to short. Ozzie Guillen. High throw, but Danny Pasqua hauls it in and stayed on the bag. 1-2-3 inning for Hibbert. Good ball game. Great help by his center fielder, Lance Johnson. Boston Red Sox last year ended up 37-44 on the road. This season they are 20-23. Problem for Boston has been there haven't been a whole lot more wins at home this year. They are a couple of games above .500 right now. The battery mates conferring.
I'll tell you, as you look over the Boston Red Sox numbers, offensively, pitching, defense, power, nothing stands out on a real positive. I guess if you're a Red Sox fan and hoping for the best, you figure there is so much talent on this team, they have got to gel sometime. They did have a very good start, but since May 26th, they are 20-26. They can no longer afford to kind of wallow. They got to make a move.
I agree with you, Dave. They're putting up the numbers of a .500 team, which is what they are right now. Foul back by Tim Raines, the leadoff batter. It'll be Raines, Ventura, and Thomas in this 2-1 ball game. It is a good one. Good pitching duel here between Clemens and Hibbert. For the Rock, who got off to a slow start, had a good offensive punch going into the All-Star break. Now it's back down again. Off the fist to left field, Mike Greenwell. And there's one away. John?
Cubs and the Braves, Laddie Renfro on in relief facing Lonnie Smith. He goes opposite field with it. Ron Gant will come in to score easily, making the score 6-2. It's now a 7-2 contest. That's all for Laddie Renfro. Heathcliff Slocum is now in the game. 7-2 in the 6th. Back to Gary and Dave.
Well, they come away with a victory there. They'll be 3.5 games out with the Dodgers having lost again. 2-1 score here. Boston ahead of the Chicago White Sox. Robin Ventura batting at .282 with 1 down and nobody on. Takes the pitch inside, ball 1.
I think a lot of fans might say, where's that pitch? That's the one I think a lot of people are saying, why aren't the umpires giving that pitch to the pitcher? It looks like it swung back on the inside corner. The ball's just above the waist. In my opinion, that should be a strike. Rick Reed's had a very good night, though. Nobody's really looked back at him, stared him down, but some people say the game is taking a little longer because the umpires are squeezing the plate, not only on Clemens, but everybody.
I'll tell you, I usually once a year I go back and read over the air the revised strike zone definition out of the rule book. You want to know how tough it is on the umpires, take a look at that thing. Here's the 2-0 pitch. Outside for a ball. The upper part of the strike zone is about as nebulous in its definition as anything can be.
Yeah, it's supposed to be from a midway point between the belt and the top of the shoulder in a normal stance, is the way it reads.
That's right. Here's the 3-0 pitch, and he's walked it. Second walk given up by Roger Clemens. This one comes with 1 down.
Interesting confrontation coming here. The big slugger against the great pitcher. And Roger Clemens has worked against Frank Thomas 2 earlier times. We told you he was going to try to pound him with fastballs. First time up, he brushed him back, then got a fastball in the middle of the plate. Thomas singled to right center. Second time, he started him off with a fastball up, went away with a couple of pitches, and then finally walked him on a fastball in. He's shown him one breaking ball way outside the strike zone. He does want to pound this guy with fastballs, ideally in. He hasn't gotten him exactly where he wants in 2 at-bats yet.
This has turned into a real duel right here. 1 down. Thomas. This time he starts him on the outside corner after starting him inside before.
Well, you start him twice inside, get him a little inside conscious, and now Clemens throws that cut fastball or quick slider. That is the best breaking pitch Clemens is throwing tonight. A great location and great action on it.
Throw to first base. Robin Ventura, the base runner. A 2-1 Boston lead. And Thomas. Just take a look at the way he's digging in and the slow rhythm in the eyes. He's ready for this at-bat. This is a feisty White Sox team, and he fits right in with it. They like to do battle.
Again, we talked last inning about how good Clemens' control has been. Watch how Pena sets up the glove. See how well Clemens hits the glove.
Thomas takes it up high. 1 ball and 1 strike. Pena coming out to have a word with Clemens.
Didn't hit it that time. Tony wanted something away, and Clemens came up and in.
Talking with one of the Red Sox broadcasters before the game, he says he doesn't believe Clemens is popping that mitt as much as he used to. But maybe 1 out of every 3 or 4 pitches is the Clemens fastball. The others just don't seem to have that extra oomph on it. Thomas takes that down low. He has great patience. And Clemens, they say that the velocity is up there, the Red Sox do, but just watching him pitch here tonight, it looks like much more of a struggle for Roger Clemens than in past seasons where he would just unwind and pop it.
I've always thought that Roger had a little more, when he took his started to deliver, the shoulder went back more than it has been. It seems like he's kind of spotting.
Thomas to center field, deep. Burks back, may have room, and makes the catch. Ellis Burks 400 feet away on a Frank Thomas fly ball. Any other part of the ballpark, it's a home run, but it wasn't, and it isn't. 2 down.
Well, Thomas got his pitch. He's waited all night to get a fastball out where he could get his arms extended, and only the fact he didn't get it completely extended. You saw the hands in just a little bit, and what does Roger think? Does he think it's in the ballpark? He seemed pretty confident. I guess at that point he figures, hey, I did all I could. Let's see if Ellis can catch up with it.
He misplayed 1 in center earlier. He helps Roger Clemens on that catch. That ball was stung. And he's thankful that's padded out there. That's the only part of the outfield wall from right to center that's padded. They have an open spot out there for the picnic pavilion. He needed the padding that time. Now there are 2 down. Still Ventura at first. Danny Pasqua. White Sox seem to be that close to tying or going ahead in this game.
Well, again, what the White Sox have done late. 21 times they've won games in their last at-bats this year. So their whole game plan is to stay close and do something late.
Pena with that throw to first base, not in time. Tony can still get that done. So Sandy Alomar is saying he's going to stop doing that. He's not going to throw from his knees, and he's going to stop making a lot of those throws to first and third. He thinks it's wearing his arm out early.
Well, I talked to him up in Toronto at the All-Star game, and basically he is really trying to make sure he doesn't do any damage to that shoulder this year and then really go through a strengthening period in the off-season. But he just doesn't want to cause any further damage this year.
So Clemens gets it done. Danny Pasqua grounding out to Reed at second base. It was one of those almost innings for the White Sox, but Clemens has got a 1-run lead. Keeps it that way after 6. ESPN's Wednesday Night Baseball, a good one. Clemens and Hibbert locked up in a real pitching duel here, 2-1. Dave, we have talked about Roger Clemens and the question of whether or not those mechanics have changed from last year and the fastball.
Well, I tried to spit it out last inning, but it's show and tell time, folks. Basically, Clemens used to, I think, get way back here with the shoulder and come through. It looks like now he's throwing from here. I don't know if it's a shoulder problem or he's just changing his mechanics, but our radar gun not working tonight, but when we've talked to some people who do have a gun downstairs, they say he has had very few fastballs over 90 miles an hour tonight.
Well, we'll keep an eye on it. See what happens here the rest of the game, whether the White Sox can get to him. He's protecting that lead. Greg Hibbert against Mike Greenwell. First ball hitting just out of the reach of Cora. And a single for Mike Greenwell as he's now 1 for 3. Lead-off man on, John.
Orioles and the Royals, and Ben McDonald was cruising at one point with a 7-0 lead. 7-1 when he faces Kevin Seitzer. Turns the fastball around out into right center field to the wall. Bill Pacota's in. Brett Maine follows him. That made it 7-3. They've since added another run, 7-4, and that's all for McDonald. Kilgus is now in 7-4. Orioles lead down to 3 runs. Back to Gary and Dave.
And a 2-1 ball game here. They're all important now. And with Burks not hitting, they're playing. The White Sox are playing for the bunt. Ventura's in at third base, nobody out. He did not square around that time. 6 hits now for Boston. White Sox have Donnie Paul, middle reliever, getting ready to go. Another forkball, split-fingered type pitcher.
Ellis Burke has really been locked at the plate tonight. Not the good kind of. He's not locked in. He's locked. He just can't pull the trigger. Let's see if he can bust out here. Sometimes a manager like a Morgan, well, not like a Morgan because he doesn't do it much, but there are certain managers who would put a hit and run on here just to get him to swing the bat, open up a hole or two for him. Mike Greenwell is 10 for 10 in stolen bases this year, but that might be the thing that would get Burks out of this thing.
And he does bunt this time and fouls it back. So Burks in his 0 for 19 slump, having been called out on strikes twice in this game, tries to move the runner up, doesn't get it done there, and it's 1-1.
Strange. I think Ellis must have missed a sign on the first pitch because it went 1 ball, no strikes without him showing bunt, and then all of a sudden 1-0 when he's ahead in the count. Now the bunt's on.
He has 2 sacrifice bunts this season. Marty Aronoff right on it. A crack statistician here. Throw over to first base. Count holds at 1-1.
Well, managers will manage according to situations. Last night we saw Doug Rader of the Angels have Gary Gaetti bunt in the 8th inning with the Angels trailing by a run, but his club not scoring, trying to manufacture runs. Joe Morgan figures Burke's not hitting real well right now.
Got him picked off. Greenwell, Pasquin again, and he is out. He'll be caught stealing as he was on his way to second base. Keep that in your memory bank in this game.
Well, Morgan did play hit and run. Greenwell gets caught for the first time this year. He was 10 for 10, but Mike made the Cardinals sin of leaving too soon. On a hit and run, you do not leave until the man has thrown to the plate for sure. On a steal, you guess once in a while, but on a hit and run, you've got to make sure the pitcher goes to the plate. Greenwell made a mistake there.
That's an out. Morgan not turning around as Greenwell goes behind him. Now Burks with a 1-1 count. Good play by Hibbard. And a nice throw by Danny Pasqua. That is not an easy play for the first baseman. You are throwing into the back of the runner. And Torborg was saying before the game how pleasantly surprised they have been at Danny Pasqua's defense at first base since he's been playing there, including a very strong arm.
I played against a guy by the name of Lou Brock. In fact, he was a teammate, too. Sometimes he would take such an aggressive lead at first base, he would dare the left-hander to throw over to first base, and he would beat the play to second. It was an intentional play by Brock to take such a healthy lead that they couldn't get him. But Pasqua made a good throw to Guillen.
2-ball, 2-strike delivery by Greg Hibbard to left field. Tim Raines. And there are 2 down. Burks retired. The over continues to mount. You saw there, Dave, he just wanted to make contact. That's all he was trying to do. 2 away, nobody on. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball. Good one coming up. Barry Larkin on a tear this season at the plate, both hitting and charging. He'll be there for the Cincinnati Reds in Pittsburgh against Bonds and the Pirates Sunday at 8 on ESPN. John Miller and Dave will be joining him for that game on Sunday from Pittsburgh. So there's a rematch of the National League Championship Series last season for you Sunday night. 2 down, a 1-0 count on Ellis Burks, Tom Brudansky, and Brudansky takes the strike. 1 ball, 1 strike. Brudansky's single came in the 2nd inning, popped out his last time up, batting just .218 on the season, and only .205 against left-handers. Figure that one out.
A week from this Sunday, these same 2 teams will be meeting on ESPN Sunday Night Baseball, and there is a chance that Mr. Clemens would fall into rotation on that Sunday night game as well.
They stay with the rotation they're on right now. He would. Hibbard misses down low. There is the Rocket, who has struck out 3 and walked 2 here tonight. Has the 2-1 lead. Has given up only 2 hits.
One of the things he has really done tonight is keep his composure. A couple of times he thought he had strikes, was not blowing up or anything like that, and I think that's just part of the maturing process of Roger Clemens. I mean, Roger is, I mean, he's a competitor, but he also has learned how to harness it.
He has matured. Foul ball. Mike Riley, the crew chief, making the call. I think all the problems that occurred last season at the end of it and in the off season have brought him back to reality. If there's any question for Roger Clemens and for a lot of Major League Baseball players, they are treated like kings. from the time they are young through high school and college if they go there, or the minor leagues, and if they're a star, the red carpet's always out. Sometimes they forget they too live in a real world. Lance Johnson will put it away. And that will do it. So despite a leadoff single by Greenwell, only 3 Red Sox come up from Comiskey Park in Chicago. 7th inning stretch. Storyline here in Chicago during the 7th inning stretch has been some great pitching by Hibbert and Clemens. The big home run that came in the 1st inning by Jack Clark. That 2-run homer accounting for the only runs Boston has. Clemens 6 strong innings. Probably would have a shutout, but for a misplayed ball in center. Hibbert equally well in his performance over 7. That big blow came in the 1st inning. Jack Clark, who now has 3 home runs against the Chicago White Sox. He had Reed on base when he put it the back of the bleacher seats in left field.
I think our cameraman must double as an air flight controller to follow that one. I mean, the Ripper got all of it.
And Clemens protecting the lead.
I was musing in between innings. We're sitting there talking about Roger. He's not getting the great extension. So far, he's given up 2 hits, one of them tainted, and a walk. It's pretty good for a guy that's not getting full extension.
Yeah, he is really pitching. It's not a matter of blowing people away in this game. He's set people up. Now he'll work to Fisk, bottom of the 7th inning. Fisk, first ball hitting, pops it up to right center field. Reed, Brunansky, and Burks. Right fielder wants it, and Brunansky will put it away. 1 pitch and 1 out. Fisk is 0 for 3 in the ball game. The only hits by the White Sox, the triple given to Cora leading off the 3rd, and a ball that was catchable by Burks. And the single by Thomas in the 1st inning. Jeff Torborg saying before the game, you take a look at our numbers and you wonder how in God's name can we be 46 and 40, because Chicago, they are 8th in average and 10th in runs in the league, yet they've been pulling these ball games out. They are 20 and 10 in 1-run games. They are 10 and 4 in extra inning ball games.
Thing is, it breeds success too, because those guys on the bench right now are saying we're just going to stay close and we're going to find a way to win this game.
Warren Newsome to center field. Ellis Burks, plenty of room on this one. 3 pitches and 2 down in the 7th.
Doesn't matter if you hit him about 400 feet as long as it's not pulled. That ball about 360 feet to left center. Clemens using the big part of the ballpark.
2 down, nobody on. There is that White Sox bench. Frank Thomas without the hat. There's Charlie Huff. Herm Snyder, the trainer. Ozzie down there at the end. Huff pitched a great game last night. Lost it 2-0. Joe Nosek, one of the coaches. And up high to Lance Johnson with 2 down and nobody on. Barry Foote, one of the coaches for the White Sox, wanted to say hello to Derek, his son playing in the state quarterfinals in Raleigh, North Carolina. That one's fouled off. There in the quarterfinals, a Legion ball. Started the best-of-7 series against Pitt County. So good luck, Derek, from your dad. Gary Thorne, Dave Campbell, ESPN's Wednesday Night Baseball. The beautiful Comiskey Park. Hope you're enjoying this one. It's a good one. 2-1. Boston on top. 2 runs in the 1st inning. Clemens preserving it since then.
Clemens extremely efficient tonight. That was only his 81st pitch, and he's worked 6 2/3 innings. So he is getting it done with a minimum number of deliveries, and that bodes well for a complete game should Joe Morgan try to get him through.
Lance Johnson with 2 down and a 1-1 count on him. Clemens 9-6 lifetime against the White Sox. He's won the last 3 games that he's decisioned here in Chicago. 1-1 delivery. Down low, scooped by Tony Pena.
Might have been the forkball again. We haven't seen very many of those tonight from Roger Clemens. 3 maximum.
Two-1 delivery. Stayed away, and it's 3 balls and 1 strike.
Sitting the guy who wants to give a free pass to. Lance Johnson has not hit a home run this year, but he can steal a base. So if you walk him, you run the risk of making it a double.
There's Joey Cora hoping for the at-bat, waiting on deck. 3-1 delivery taken for a strike. 3-2.
one of the problems when you don't have power. Sometimes you get the take sign 3-1 even with a couple of outs.
Now he's got to protect it. 3-2 delivery. Johnson to left center field. Greenwell started in. We'll have to back up on it. And he had plenty of room to haul it in. So 3 fly ball outs in the 7th inning. Clemens continues tough. Yeah, the White Sox just can't seem to find a number against him. They've left 3 on, but nobody in scoring position. They're down by 1.
ESPN Major League Baseball is brought to you by Budweiser, the king of beers, who reminds you friends know when to say when. By CertainTeed, manufacturers of high-quality Insul-Safe 3 fiberglass building insulation. By the Walker Advantage muffler, the most advanced muffler you can buy. And by Sears Auto Center. You got to ask yourself, who's going to back it better in Sears?
Beautiful Buckingham Fountain in the park here in Chicago. 2-1 ball game, and Greg Hibbert is going to come out of the ball game. And Jeff Torborg did an interesting thing. He let Hibbert come out to take his warm-up tosses. He wanted the fans to be able to recognize Hibbert's performance here tonight before he made the switch, and then came out and got Hibbert. Little psychology being worked by Jeff Torborg right there, which a ball player appreciates. As Hibbert has struggled, got off to a rocky start in this one with that first inning home run by Clark, got the job done, and now Donnie Paul will come on in relief. So Hibbert leaves 7 innings, gave up 2 runs, 6 hits, a walk, and 3 strikeouts. And you can see what the White Sox bullpen has done, and Jeff Torborg is not hesitant about using it. He goes to it here in the 8th inning. 29-year-old right-hander Donnie Paul, who's a Chicago native, born here, now lives in Wheeling, Illinois, pitching for the team he grew up cheering for.
Not a bad deal, huh?
Dreams come true.
Only 1 blemish in his entire career. Gave up a home run to Felix Fermin. The only one Felix has hit in pro baseball.
And we'll never forget it.
Well, with people like me not allowing him to forget it.
Donnie Paul last season for the White Sox, 3-5, couple of saves, worked middle relief, 3.32 earned run average, gave up 63 hits in 76 innings last year. Comes on here in the top of the 8th inning against Tony Pena. Good at the beginning. It's a little tougher at the end. It's because he's a catcher and he gets tired. Here's the 0-1 off the fist. Guillen. Along with Paul coming on to pitch for Hibbert, Warren Newson is out of the ball game in right field, and Sammy Sosa takes his place.
Talked about Sammy earlier. This young man can do 4 of the 5 things you want in a major league player. He has great speed. He's got a terrific throwing arm. He's a terrific fielder, and he's got power. The other thing you want is somebody that can hit for average, and that is where Sammy is really struggling. Striking out once out of every 3 times and only hitting .202. They can get him on track, though. There aren't too many guys in baseball that can do more than 3 things, and if you ever find one with 5, like Willie Mays and Joe DiMaggio and Mickey Mantle and a few of those guys, then you have the ultimate superstar.
Ray, you get one of those every once in a while because there aren't many to go around.
Yeah, there's a couple emerging right now. Barry Larkin in Cincinnati, Barry Bonds in Pittsburgh, and I don't want to slight anybody else, but those guys are starting to fill into the picture. Larkin hitting with more power this year.
Luis Rivera up with 1 down and nobody on. He's 0 for 2, batting at .296, trying to keep a 5-game hit streak going. More importantly for the Sox right now, he's trying to get on base to add to the lead. 2-0 delivery to him, and Paul misses up high. Paul, as a middle reliever, has done an outstanding job, allowing only 4 of 24 inherited runners to score, and he has been unscored upon in 24 of his 30 outings this season. 3-0 delivery taken all the way by Rivera. 3-1. Is Clemens done? We don't know. Gray's warming up.
Well, Jeff pitched last night, so he's warming up for a reason. Got to surmise that Rogers' evening is over.
And And a strike called. Rivera thought he had the walk. Paul comes back from 3-0 to make it 3-2. Wanting some W's right now. Here's Red Sox team 7.5 games out. We've got to start making some ground up now on Toronto. And the Tigers, who won again today, who are in second place. 3-2 delivery. Got it in there, and that's the base hit for Rivera. So it is a 6-game hit streak and a 1-out single here in the 8th inning. Puts him on at first base. Good job by both of them that time. Paul came back from a 3-0 count. Rivera put the 3-2 in center, and that's going to be it for Donnie Paul. This is where Jeff Torborg told you he does not hesitate to go to the bullpen. He's deep there. He's confident in the people he has, and he will easily go 4, 5 pitchers per game. Scott Radinsky is the left-hander. He wants the lefty on to face Wade Boggs, who will come up with a base runner on at first base and a 1-out here in the 8th inning, where it gets touch and go time in a 1-run ball game. 23-year-old left-hander Scott Radinsky is on. Runner at first, 1 out. Wade Boggs at the plate.
No day at the beach for left-handed batters against this guy. A little bit crossfire delivery. 6'3", about 220 pounds. He's no fun. Especially when you come in there like that.
Hello, eardrums. Now, we told you Boggs has struggled a bit against the left-handers, so even though he's batting .316 on the season, only .234 against lefties and 0 for 3 in this ball game against Hibbard, the left-hander. Radinsky up high with him, though, and falls behind 2-0. Rivera's the runner at first. Red Sox leading 2-1. Wade Boggs 0 for 3 against Radinsky in the times he's faced him. 2-0. Laid that one in.
Mentioned Larkin and Bonds. I did a little thinking in between innings. Certainly would be remiss if we didn't mention potential superstars that can do a lot of things, like Ruben Sierra, of course, Ryne Sandberg, Ken Griffey Jr. And the way Joe Carter is playing this year up in Toronto, he may fit into that mold too. And I'm sure I'm still skipping a couple of guys, but those guys can do a lot of things.
There's why Radinsky was brought in. You won't see Boggs wave at a pitch very often, but that's what happened right there. 2-2. This is another one of those feisty battlers the White Sox seem to be gathering around in. He's a rock musician, has his own band, Scared Straight. Jack McDowell's another rock musician. 2-2 delivery. Got him. Nasty.
He just gassed Boggs up. Just threw him nothing but 5 fastballs, and Boggs just tried to chip foul that one. Couldn't catch up with it. That's just on by, about 92. And Boggs, who didn't really have his heart in it, tried to take that ball to left field, but drew air.
Boggs has struck out only 20 times this year, 7 times against the left-hander. And he just got beaten by Radinsky that time. Now there are 2 down. And Jody Reed up. Rivera's on at first base, had the 1-out single, 7th hit for Boston. And Reed, leg out, rockets that one back into the seats. Strike 1. And nobody got hurt, but a lot of people ducked, and appropriately so.
I think Jose Canseco will be mad because I didn't include him in that list. I don't think Jose's a real solid fielder and doesn't have a real overpowering throwing arm either. Although when he's got the bat in his hands, he's very dangerous.
You still do tiptoe. 0-1 count, 2 down. And Radinsky will hold Rivera on at first base. It's an outstanding ball game, old-fashioned baseball here. 2-1. Top of the 8th inning. 2-7-0 Boston, 1-2-0 for the White Sox. Big game for both teams. Both managers have paced and set and been pensive. Reed may find a hole. Joey Cora can't find the handle in time. He will get it back in to hold Rivera at second base, and Reed will be on with an infield single. putting runners at first and second with 2 down.
Interesting to see what Torborg does here as we take a look at Cora trying to flag this ball down. Actually, Jory, when he hit the grass, slid past the ball. And Cora a little shaken up. He gets up gimping, and they may have to take a look at him. But an interesting decision right now for Torborg is he looks out at Cora, but he knows that Carlos Quintana, who is coming towards the plate, is hitting .380 against left-handed pitching this year. But he doesn't know if he wants to go to Thigpen this early.
Looks like he may have turned an ankle. He says he's all right. Herm Snyder, the trainer, taking a look. He's spending his days with Bo. It's Bo and Herm. I went in to see the new Bo swimming pool. This new clubhouse they've got is so unbelievable. They've added one of those small swimming pools where you get in it and you swim against the force of the water. It'll actually hold you up and allow you to exercise that way. They put it in for Bo Jackson to exercise in. It's unbelievable. Carlos Quintana, 2 on and 2 down. Big point in this game. Radinsky's heat, strike 1.
Yeah, there are left-handers and then there are left-handers, and Radinsky fits into the latter category. He is blowing some gas up there right now.
Rear back and bring it. Only 23 years old.
What, me care? Nah, give me the ball.
Never saw it. Never saw it. 0-2.
They're going to keep throwing him gas. They ought to get Tim Raines off the left field line, and Tim's starting to amble over towards left center. There's no way that Quintana's going to get around on this. That ball is on by.
You don't do a lot of leaning over the plate on Scott Radinsky.
Nah. Yeah, Raines, each time Quintana swings, he gets further off the line. Pretty soon he's going to be playing center. Still too big a gap, actually, unless you're going to throw him a hook.
Nobody covering second, just bluffed him back.
I think it would be a major mistake to throw Mr. Quintana anything off speed here, even if you're going to waste a pitch. Don't do him any favors.
Radinsky's got the 0-2 count, 2 down. Rivera's on at second base. Reed at first. A 2-1 lead for Boston. Radinsky. Right field. Sammy Sosa get his first play of the ball game, and that will do it. No runs, a couple of hits. Boston leaving 2 on. That's 4 left on by the Red Sox in the game. Going right down to the final out in this one. Fans enjoying this one. There are 40,008 of them. The official count. Red Sox 2-1, but it is a tentative lead. And here's 28-year-old Jeff Gray. What a job he's done, Dave.
He really has. He takes a while to do it. He is not Larry Bird's favorite pitcher. Larry Bird, the great Celtic and also a great Red Sox fan. But when Jeff Gray comes in, he says he flips the channel. Said Gray drives him nuts. AKA the human rain delay, but he has done a terrific job as the setup man for the Red Sox. Came on last year when Reardon had the back surgery. Did a good job in their closer role. So Jeff Gray, his job is to get out of the 8th and probably turn it over to Reardon. Steve Lyons has taken over and left for Mike Greenwell. We'll wait for a report on Mike. Might have hurt himself on that attempted steal.
So Roger Clemens is out. 7 innings. 1 run, 2 hits, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. Only the 3rd time this year that he has had only 3 strikeouts in a game. And I want to know what the pitch count was, guys, in the truck, just for the heck of it. Joey Cora batting at .305, and that's outside for a ball.
I'm guessing 85.
So what was it?
I'm guessing 85.
Good guess.
Thank you. Well,
my God.
Well, I knew it was 81 last inning, so I didn't take a real road scholar to figure it out. It was somewhere between 82 and about 90.
Tom McNeely down there. Marty Aronoff up here telling him what it was, and he puts it on the graph, and we'll see it in a minute.
It's amazing. They had to use their hands and their feet to count those pitches tonight.
Strike taken. 1 ball and 1 strike.
I wish I could give credit where credit is due, but I can't find my notes on the writer in New York who said if Jeff Gray pitched in New York would no longer be the city that doesn't sleep.
It's a great line, isn't it?
I'd love to give the writer credit. I just can't find it in my notes.
It's all right. That's fair. No plagiarism there. 1 ball, 1 strike. Cora, who tripled and scored, trying to draw the walk. He's scooching down a little bit, but Gray's not giving it to him. 1 ball, 2 strikes. We told you those folks would get it done for us. There's the story tonight for Clemens.
A lot of the balls were purpose pitches as well, moving hitters off the plate early in the count.
Cora Triple leading off the third, scored on a Guillen ground ball out, the only White Sox run. Gray with a 1-2 count. And Cora goes to right with it. Tom Bernansky. And there's one away here in the bottom half of the 8th inning. John?
It's not going to get much worse for the Cincinnati Reds. Lee Smith on facing Joe Oliver to end the game. 5-4-3 around the horn. 26 save. That's his major league leading save. 6-5 is the final, and the Reds have now lost 9 consecutive games. Get it back to Gary and Dave.
Start sucking the air in a little bit. Cincinnati.
People in Atlanta are getting excited.
Here's Ozzie Guillen against Gray with one down and nobody on. And he goes after the first one, strike one. Guillen 0 for 3 lifetime against Gray. Told you about these one-run games. Look at the difference. Look how many the White Sox have been involved in. 30 already, and we told you 14 extra inning ball games for the White Sox. Oh, 1 the count. And Guillen slaps it foul. 0-2.
Jeff Gray's almost in the legal limit. 25 seconds in between pitches. The Major League rule says 20, but nobody enforces it. Hey, 25 seconds, that's not too bad, but he's going to rub this one up real good.
I asked a Major League umpire 2 years ago about that rule. One of the real veteran umpires, like John Kibler, now retired. And John could never remember a time where that time limit had been enforced. Says, I know it's there, but it just don't happen. Guillen pitched way high and away, but he's reaching. 0-2 still.
It's only with nobody on base that the 20-second rule is enforced, or is at least in vogue, but not enforced.
So Rick Reed, we are not saying anything negative about this crew. Mike Riley, the crew chief, on it.
Lefty Gomez always had a great line. He never wanted to throw a ball when Jimmy Fox was hitting. And one day his catcher, Bill Dickey, walked out and said, what's the dickens? He said, what's going on here, Lefty? He says, hey, if I don't throw it, he can't hit it. But sooner or later, you got to fire it up there.
Ozzie Guillen. One away, nobody on. The 0-2 is down low. For Gray, he appeared last night in the 8th inning, gave up 1 hit. No runs off him, faced only 3 batters. He's been very tough on left-handers. They're hitting just .205 off him this season.
That's the role that doesn't get the glory, the setup man. But any great closer will tell you, if you have a great setup man. Last year, Barry Jones set it up for Thiggy. Goose Gossage's heyday in the Yankees. It was Ron Davis who set things up. Bruce Sutter had his guys in Chicago. Dick Tidrow did it. You get that guy that turns it over to the closer in the ninth, makes the job a lot easier.
Gray's right up there at the top now. In fact, he leads the American League. This is his 45th game. Dwayne Ward of Toronto has 44. So much work he's getting. The 1-2 to Guillen, off the fist, center field or left. Look out, Lyons, the left fielder, calls off Burks at the last minute, and there are 2 down. Coming up after our ball game here in Chicago. Make sure you hang on. Sports Center got some great stuff for you tonight, as always, but a real special treat, a Joe DiMaggio interview on this the day the streak ended. Plus you'll have a preview of the British Open coming up, and the Rocket, he's back. He apparently is going to open tomorrow night in the Toronto home opener. He did not appear in the Toronto first game. Rockets had some negative press up there. People wondering whether he really wants to be part of that team or not. 2 down, bases empty. Tim Raines. 0 for 3 tonight, average at .263. Chops it down to first base. Played by Quintana. There you see Gray doing what he has done all season. Comes out of that bullpen and sets the side down in order. We remain in a 1-run ball game as we now have completed 8 here in Chicago. John, and here it is 2-1, and we are in the 9th inning. Scott Radinsky on in relief. Faced 3 batters in the 8th inning, gave up a single, got a strikeout, a fly ball out. Red Sox will have Clark, Greenwell, and Burks now. Heat against Power. And ball 1 by Radinsky. While I think of it, thank goodness I did here, it's the 9th. We send along best wishes to Bob Uecker, a great friend with the Milwaukee Brewers and television star, a great baseball personality who's going to have some health work done and is going to be out of the booth for a while. Uecker, thinking of you, and we wish you well.
Indeed, and along those same lines, Steve Palermo, American League umpire who was shot.
That's a broken bat ground ball right there. Boy, he sawed that one. And Ventura makes the play to Danny Pasco, 1 away.
Firewood
Took care of that one. That'll bring up Lyons hitting in Greenwell's spot. Coming on for Greenwell, who left the game with a twisted left ankle, we are told.
Lyons probably absolutely thrilled he gets to hit against Radinsky here.
Steve will take any opportunity to get an at-bat. Former White Sox player who, as all players do, loves to come back and play against his former teammates. Lyons has gone 4 for 10 against the White Sox this season with a couple of hits last night. He started the ball game. Doing very nicely for them. Radinsky, strike 1.
Oh, to be young and strong, Scott Radinsky.
And left-handed to boot. Tell me there aren't a lot of teams will be calling the White Sox about this guy. Foul back. This copyrighted telecast presented by authority of Major League Baseball may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent of Major League Baseball.
That's exactly what Ron Schuler will tell all those it called. This copyrighted telecast is brought to you, and forget it. Don't even bother talking about Radinsky.
You're going to talk Radinsky, you better talk big star. Isn't that Randy Myers mold? Freewheeling guy with a big strong arm, loves to challenge you. 0-2 delivery. Took something off that one. Lyons goes, give me a break. Radinsky gets his second strikeout.
The Lyons always looks at a silver lining of cloud, probably just happy to get out of there alive. Curveball, yeah. No chance to hit it? Absolutely. I think I'll go sit. Play some D in the bottom of the 9th.
Well, if Ellis Burks is going to get out of an 0 for 20, this is where it'll happen because it's the least likely spot for it to occur. He's taken the 0 for 3 here tonight. Average has dipped down now to 234. And Radinsky's fastball is down low. He's praying for the hit right now. Burks has gone 2 for 3 against Radinsky.
Radinsky throwing strikes, 14 of 18 deliveries in the strike zone. No more than 2 breaking balls. The only one I remember was the one to Lyons.
Inning and a third, 2-inning pitcher. Radinsky, left field, and he did it. He gets the base hit, so Ellis Burks out of the 0 for 20 with a single off Radinsky, a 2-out single here in the 9th inning.
Think Ellis will ask for the ball? But he will sleep better tonight. Fastball gets the arms extended. Look for a second like Tim Raines had a chance, but Raines makes the smart play there. With 2 outs, you don't want to go for a diving catch. The ball gets by you, then Burks gets into scoring position, or you might even see an inside the park homer. So Raines made the smart play there.
That is hit number 9 for Boston. They lead it 2-1, top of the 9th. Radinsky will hold Burks on at first base in this 2-1 game as he faces Tom Brunansky, who got his single in the second. Looking ahead to the 9th, Thomas, Pasco, and Fisk could do up for the White Sox. Would you want it any other way against Boston?
Nah, but I'll tell you, Joe Morgan would love to see Bruno go deep here to give him a little bit of a cushion.
Only 2 hits for the White Sox, 9 for Boston, but a 1-run ball game. Pitching by Hibbert, Paul, and Rudinsky. He's done the job tonight for Chicago. Outside corner strike, 1-1.
Brunansky, one of those real streak hitters. Last year he went through a 5 for 58 right towards the end of the season. Then the Blue Jays came in and he hit 5 home runs in a 3-game series at Toronto. This year he had another 5 for 52 this time. Red Sox waiting for him to bust out.
Right field, Sammy Sosa. Well positioned on that one. He's got it. Brunansky is retired. No runs, a base hit, and 1 left on. Bottom of the 9th inning from Chicago. Can they get it done against the stopper of the Red Sox? And as all good baseball games should do, it comes to this. Bottom of the 9th inning, 2-1 ball game. Middle of the order coming up for the White Sox, and the closer's on for Boston.
Jeff Reardon, 310 saves lifetime. Number 2 to the great Raleigh Fingers, who has 341. He has a pretty good chance of setting the all-time Red Sox single-season record, 33, held by Bob Stanley. But he has his work cut out for him. We told you about the White Sox. Their fans gave them a standing ovation coming in to start the bottom of the ninth. 21 times they have won in their final at-bat. Red Sox only once. That was June 20th against Oakland. So the White Sox brimming with confidence, but they got to do it against one of the best, Jeff Reardon.
He picked up the save last night, retiring all 3 batters of the 9th inning. 5 saves in his last 5 appearances. He has 23 saves and 26 chances, tied for second in the American League with Rick Aguilera in saves. He's done a number on Chicago this year, 3 saves and 5 appearances in lifetime. He is 2-0-14 against Chicago.
If this inning gets to any depth, men on base, maybe look for a guy by the name of Matt Marullo, who has had pretty good success this year against Reardon, including a big home run. So Reardon, if he can get through the first 3, then he doesn't have to worry about Marullo.
And that one is going to be taken up high by Robin Ventura. Ventura, Thomas, Pasqua, and then Fisk if they get that far. And Reardon does not want to face Fisk because Fisk hits Reardon. Taken down low. Reardon looking in, not happy. Thought he had that one in the strike zone, 2-0.
So did Pena. You could see Tony's head drop as Carlton Fisk looks on.
Foul ball.
Robin Ventura pulling the ball much more of late. He's showing some good power in the last month and a half. Pretty much an opposite field hitter most of his career, but he's starting to turn in certain situations, looking for pitches in.
Robin Ventura has had only 1 at-bat against Reardon ever. 2-1 delivery to him is up high, 3-1. Reardon has walked only 7 in 32 innings of work. 3-1. Right there into the right field corner. That is a fair ball off the wall on his way to second base. Brunansky with a throw. Will that be in time? A leadoff double. They're at it again. Ventura will come out of the ball game, and Mike Huff will come on to run for him.
Well, Reardon just said he's going to have to beat me with my best pitch, and he did. He threw him a fastball, and Ventura looking to really jack on it, doubles, and here come the White Sox. Robin happy? You bet.
Robin Ventura, a leadoff double in the bottom of the 9th inning in a 1-run ball game. That is his 13th two-bagger. There is Mike Huff, the newest acquisition of the Chicago White Sox, who comes on to run. And Reardon will face the big guy, Frank Thomas.
White Sox fans do believe. They've seen it happen an awful lot this year.
Up high for a ball. A .306 hitter. 6th in the league in runs batted in. He'd like to get Huff home. Hops it up. Good pitch by Reardon. Took something off it. Reed at second base. 1 down. Huff stays at second.
Check out the swing by Frank Thomas. Did he get the arms extended? No. Reardon got it in on him, and Thomas disgusted. And Frank, not a happy man right now. Reardon looked like maybe he threw a backup breaking ball. Not a pitch you'd intentionally throw, but that ball, Thomas thought it was going to be a curveball away from him, started to go after it, and it stayed inside.
Danny Pasqua.
Frank was trying to go the other way to make sure the man at least got to third.
Ball 1 inside, 1 down. And yes, we do get to that situation where Carlton Fisk is waiting on deck. 1-0 delivery to Pasqua. Takes the high strike. Left-handers against Reardon, batting .227. They have 4 home runs off him. Right-handers are batting only .170 with 1 home run off him. There's what Danny's done in key situations. Runner at second base and 1 out. Pasqua down the right field line. Brunansky will not get it. Making the turn. Coming home. Brunansky's throw will be cut off. 2-2 game. They've done it again. Danny Pasqua gets his 30th RBI. He is now 3 for 7 lifetime against Reardon, and the Cardiac Kids on their 4th hit have tied this game up. Now Reardon must face the toughest hitter against him in his career, Carlton Fisk. Fisk has a .364 batting average with 2 home runs off Reardon lifetime. Nobody has done better against Reardon. One out. Ball 2.
Gary, I just can't tell you how much the White Sox themselves, knowing they've had that ability to score late, how much confidence that gives a club. Certain years it just happens. Same team could be next year, they could never score late in the ball game, and you just wonder why they could do it the year before. But right now, these guys believe, they know if they're close late, they just feel they're going to win the baseball game.
There is such a thing in sports as momentum, and it comes from confidence. It's that simple. If you believe you can do it, more likely than not you will. And Jeff Torborg's club, as you say, Dave, they believe.
One of the things that's really gone unnoticed during this entire streak, the last 41 games, the White Sox bullpen has been about 1.60. That's allowed the team to stay close and then come back. Their bullpen has been brilliant the last month and a half.
2-1 to Pudge. Hits the ball in the air to center field. Ellis Burks will haul it in, and there are 2 down. Danny Pasqua goes back to first. 2 down, bottom of the 9th. Tie game.
Well, the ball is in the White Sox court right now. They have an additional out. They got 1 this inning, so 4 outs versus 3. Matt Marullo, we told you he does well against Jeff Reardon, and he's coming on to hit for Sammy Sosa right now.
Torborg saying before the game, even I find it hard to believe sometimes that I go to the bench and they continue to produce the way they do. He cited Warren Newson as one who's had 4 or 5 game-winning or game-tying hits in the 9th inning, and the other was Matt Marullo.
I don't know how much bearing it's had, but right behind where you see Newson and Jeff Torborg sitting, about 5 feet in behind that wall, are 2 batting cages. And trust me, for guys that are sitting all night to be able to go into those batting cages just before they're coming up to hit and get 10 or 15 swings really helps. Again, part of the design of this baseball park.
There are none on the visitor's side.
That surprises me. This is like Candlestick. The Giants dugout is heated, not the visitors.
Marulo, base hit left center field. Danny Pasqua will go over to third base. Lions will make the throw to the shortstop, first and third with 2 down. Marulo comes through again. 5 for 25 as a pinch hitter. And they are rocking on the south side of Chicago.
Well, Marulo has been pounding on Reardon's low fastball. He hit a home run off him May 14th. Takes the same pitch a little bit away from him. Drives it into left center. Steve Lyons makes a little bit of a mistake there. He should have thrown that ball to second. There was no chance to get Pasqua at third base. And it looks like we're going to have a pitching change for the Red Sox.
Craig Graybeck has come on to run for the pinch hitter Marulo. He's at first base, and Tony Fossis is coming out of the Boston bullpen. Remember, the White Sox are doing this against one of the best relievers in baseball in Jeff Reardon.
Let's see if we will see Scott Fletcher. We will find out when you get back.
Kansas City Royals at one point were down 7-0, but creeping back, Todd Froworth in there for the Orioles. Todd Benzinger, Orsulak leaps off the top of his glove, and it rolls into the corner. George Brett comes in to score easily. Benzinger winds up on third with a stand-up triple, and the Royals are coming back. It's in the 8th. They're just down by 2 now. 8-6. We'll keep you updated. Let's get back to Gary and Dave.
He had been 23 of 26 save opportunities. He's now 23 of 27.
It's a scene we've seen in baseball with other great relievers this year. Guys almost invincible in the past. Doug Jones, Dennis Eckersley, Greg Olson. Those guys are still great relievers, but they have not been totally invincible this year. Bobby Thigpen with the White Sox. Joe Morgan makes a good move. His closer didn't close it. There's no sense in leaving him out there. He's going to bring in Tony Fossis to face Lance Johnson.
See the numbers on Fossis, a 33-year-old left-handed non-rostered player for Boston. He made this ball club on a bit of a long shot. What a situation he's in right now. The game is on the line. 2 down, bottom of the 9th inning. The potential winning run is Danny Pasqua at third base. The pinch runner is Craig Graybeck, who has come on to run for Matt Marulo. He is at first.
A lot of people would say, why are you putting a pinch runner in for that guy? That run doesn't mean anything. In case Johnson hits a ball in the hole, they want to have somebody fast to avoid the force play at second base because Johnson has great speed.
Extra innings if this ball ends up in Wade Boggs' glove. The White Sox have been there before. Bottom of the 9th inning. They deliver the 1 run on 3 hits. We go to the 10th, tied at 2. And for the 15th time this season, the White Sox will take a ball game into extra innings. The Red Sox are 0-2 in extra inning games. The White Sox are 10-4. 10th inning here at Comiskey. We'll see Graybeck stay on at third base with Robin Ventura out of there. Craig Graybeck, an infielder. Huff, who can play both infield and outfield, will go into right field. Mike Huff for the White Sox in right. And Radinsky, great job in inning and 2/3, no runs, 2 hits, 2 strikeouts, is out of there, and Bobby Thigpen is on.
No decision for Roger Clemens, who pitched brilliantly but left after 85 pitches. Very on Roger Clemens like. I'm sure there's a story behind that, because you don't take a guy like Clemens out after 85 pitches. So obviously the Red Sox have some concern over the way he's throwing the ball as well, although he certainly did a job tonight. 1 tainted run, 1 base on balls, 1 legitimate hit. But the Red Sox saw something they didn't like and got him out of there after 85 pitches.
So Tony Pena will lead it off in the top of the 10th inning. It'll be Pena, Rivera, and Boggs due up for Boston against Bobby Thigpen, who celebrates his 28th birthday today. So he will look for a victory in this game to celebrate number 28. And that one whipped by Carlton Fisk. Checks the lacings. There's Thiggy. Last season just piled up that all-time record in saves as he had an unbelievable season for the Chicago White Sox. Kind of year that you know you're just not going to repeat. That'll get your attention in a hurry.
White Sox sending a little message back. Roger Clemens was keeping hitters loose. Of course, Tony Pena, trust me, he will not be intimidated.
57 saves last season for Thiggy, and he scooches down on this one. Pena does to take the count 3-0.
Ask Sammy Ellis when Thigpen has had problems this year. He said he's really rushed his delivery and caused him to be up. Well, he's missed up to Pena. Let's see if he can slow things down.
Got that one in. 3-1. There's that strike zone we talked about earlier. The strike zone in your normal stance. Pena's not in his normal stance.
Yeah, he went to his Eddie Goodell stance there.
Giving Rick Reed trouble to look at, and Pena steps out.
Eddie Goodell, of course, for the few fans we have who might not know, was the 3'9" player that Bill Veeck sent to the plate one day in 1950 for the St. Louis Browns.
And they finally got the uniform in the Hall of Fame. 3-1 pitch to Pena's up high. He didn't want to do that. Thigpen gives up a leadoff walk. And the Red Sox have Tony Pena on here in the 10th inning. Those numbers we told you about in the extra inning affairs. Nobody's had more in extra innings than the White Sox.
Well, Luis Rivera, in all likelihood, will try to sacrifice Pena along, and in all likelihood, Wade Boggs will draw his 15th intentional pass of the year, and we'll see what Jody Reed and Quintana can do. But remember, Joe Morgan's got a guy by the name of Mo Vaughn over there, too. Just thinking ahead.
That's what managers get paid for. Let's see if they play it by the book. Rivera continued his hit streak with that single in the 8th inning. 6 in a row for him. They're charging. Pretty good bunt, but a great lead by Pena. Thigpen's got to go to first with Joey Cora covering. Credit him with a very nice sacrifice.
And Wade Boggs, you may head directly to first base now, although they will serve the 4 wide ones to you. If they don't, it'll be a major upset.
Pena congratulated as at second base, and Rivera congratulated going back in. For Rivera, that is the 6th sacrifice. He leads the Red Sox in that department. And here's Wade Boggs. Boggs has had the caller on tonight. 0 for 4, including 1 strikeout.
Wade was afraid to look back, and he looked back and saw the magic 4 fingers of Carlton Fisk. And Wade, who has led the American League in intentional walks 3 years in a row, and in all likelihood will this year as well, because with right-handed hitters sitting behind him, right-handed pitchers just aren't going to mess with him. No disrespect to Jody Reed, but Wade Boggs is hitting .390 against right-handed pitching. Jody Reed is not.
Reed will wait as ball 3 is delivered outside. And yes, he is on top in intentional passes again this year. Just too solid a hitter to take a chance with, obviously. So there he goes with his 15th. Baines, Thomas, and Carter among the top 4 in the intentional pass department.
One of the reasons Wade likes to hit third is he doesn't feel he would get as many intentional walks, especially if he had a guy like Vaughn hitting behind him. More chances to drive in runs, but the Red Sox feel he serves a better purpose leading off. Great on-base percentage as a leadoff man, so Wade has to take it for the team, but he gets tired of hearing that he can't drive in runs. He gets too many intentional walks with men in scoring position.
Jody Reed has done a good job with runners in scoring position, as you see. He's got 1 at second base now. 2 on here, 1 out. And he squares to bunt. Pena with a big lead off second base. Now there is 1 away. Pena did not have anyone holding him close. He had jumped all the way down to the shortstop hole that time before he scurried back to the bag.
Jody was only going to dump one down because Graybeck was back. That certainly wasn't a sacrifice, but Graybeck in there.
1-0 delivery to him. Takes the strike of the inside corner from Thigpen. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Jody Reed, a lot like Scott Fletcher, who plays for the White Sox. He will go very deep in the count, not afraid to hit with 2 strikes on him. He's going to make the pitcher throw strikes.
Against Thigpen, Reed is 2 for 7 in his career. 1-1 count on him here. Reed, breaking ball, Bobby Thigpen. Boy, when he throws that curveball to go with that heat, he can really tie you up in a knot. Sports Center coming up after our ball game. The Joe DiMaggio interview On this record-setting day, preview of the British Open coming. Rocket Ismail ready to make his first start for the Argonauts in Toronto tomorrow. We are 2-2 in the 10th inning. 2 on and 1 out. 1-2 delivery by Thigpen. Missed inside, and everybody wanted that call. Thigpen wanted it. Reed wanted it. Reed turned around to look at the home plate umpire. Fisk held it. Thigpen was dancing on the mound.
Watch how Fisk receives it. Ball's inside. Good call by Rick Reed. The ball missed the plate by a good 2 or 3 inches.
2-2 delivery. No chance on that one. Fastball probably out of the strike zone. Reed went after it. Count holds at 2-2.
We don't always have the perfect angle because our camera is never, very rarely set up directly behind the pitcher, because that would block your view at home. But sometimes there's no question the ball is off the plate. You can watch the catcher where he receives it, and you can see that little white plate there. I know the umpires will say, hey, you guys don't have a good enough angle to tell us what strikes and what balls are. Partially true.
Yeah. More often than not. The 2-2 delivery off the fist to third. Graybeck makes the running throw and gets the second out. The runners move up. Pena stops at third. Bernardino will get him back to the bag.
Well, interesting situation here. A base open. I think Joe Morgan knows that if he sends Mo Vaughn up, that Vaughn's going to get the intentional walk, and then they'd go one-on-one with Jack Clark. Quintana, a better average hitter here, and he wants a guy to get a base hit. He's not looking for the home run here. So he leaves Quintana, who's hitting 300 plus, in to see if he can get a base hit off Thigpen, because he knows he would lose Vaughn if he put him up in this situation.
He has faced Thigpen only one official time at bat, 1 for 1. Potential 2 RBIs out there, and he got him into left field for a base hit. Rains over to get it. 2 runs will score. And Carlos Quintana puts the Red Sox back on top 4-2.
It's amazing how managers manage the entire game to get their aces, their closers, in at the end of the game. But tonight, it's backfired for both Joe Morgan and for Jeff Torborg. And that was good managing by Joe Morgan. He knows if he puts Mo Vaughn in, that they're going to walk Vaughn to get to Jack Clark, who's hitting 187 against right-handed pitching. He leaves Quintana in, who's a much better average hitter, and Carlos doesn't miss. Is he happy? Carlos, come on. Yeah. Okay. Carlos is happy. Pena, he's waving him home, gets the bat out of the way for the next runner. And the Red Sox lead by 2.
4-2 game. 10 hits now for Boston, and they come right back after the White Sox got a run in the bottom of the 9th to tie it. Boston gets 2 here in the top of the 10th. And Bobby Thigpen unable to get that big third out when he needed it. Now faces Clark, who had his 12th home run in the first inning off Greg Hibbert. And takes that pitch for a strike. 1-1.
Relief pitching is the ultimate penthouse in that other house. I mean, there's no in between. You're either a hero or people are talking about you in bad tones all the way home in their cars at night.
Clark fouls that one off outside of third. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Well, the middle relievers did it. Gray went an inning, retired the 3 he faced. Hall and Radinsky for the White Sox ended up working a couple innings combined. It gave up 3 hits but no runs. Strong pitching all the way through here tonight. Thigpen now pitcher of record along with Tony Fossis in this game. 1-2. Foul back.
And what it all boils down to, you can talk about Quintana, you can talk about the strategy, but you look back to begin the inning, a leadoff walk to Tony Pena, a man that doesn't walk very often. And that got Thigpen in trouble, and that will come back to haunt you on a lot of occasions.
Sure did in this one. Thigpen has given up 27 walks now in 42 innings of work. That is not a good number for a reliever, particularly a closer. You've really got to keep the walks down for the very reason you've seen here, as Dave said. 2 balls, 2 strikes, and 2 down. Foul back again by Clark. Holds the count at 2-2.
Interesting, you look at what Jody Reed did, a little soft ground ball to third, and how that changed the complexion of the inning. If Jody Reed hits a fly ball out and nobody advances, then it is going to be Mo Vaughn with runners at first and second, and really no place to put him, although you do have a base where you could pitch around Vaughn if you got behind in the count. But by Reed hitting that little slow grounder and moving the runners up, that opened up another can of worms from the thought process department.
And the sacrifice for Rivera. Everything's worked here. Boston's got it done right. And a punch out by the first base umpire. And no argument given by Clark. Larry Young making the call. Clark may be arguing with his eyes, but his club has taken the lead, so the White Sox going to try and do it again in the bottom of the 10th. White Sox with the RBI in the bottom of the 9th tied it. Red Sox back, 2 RBI single by Carlos Quintana. That makes Tony Fossis on in relief, the pitcher of record, and a chance for Fossis to get one of the few wins he's ever had. He has none this season, 0-1 and only 4 in his major league career.
Tony had kind of an ugly evening here on Monday night. Just about everything went wrong. Forgot to cover a base. Didn't look too smooth on a bunt play, but Tony with a chance for a redemption tonight.
There's a 4-6 lifetime major league record. There's a great leadoff bunt. Fossis playing the position, gets it there in time. Joey Cora trying to get on with the bunt. He's out of there, 1 away.
Joey had the right idea. He just has to push it a little harder to try to get the ball to Jody Reed, the second baseman. But Fossis in the slow grass over to get it. Tony didn't look real coordinated making that throw, but he got the job done.
So Cora, 1 pitch and 1 out. Bottom of the 10th, Ozzie Guillen to be followed by Raines. 4-2 lead for Boston. Boston trying to take this series. If they win here, 2-1. The White Sox would lose an opportunity to gain ground. And another attempted bunt is fouled off.
White Sox need a base runner to bring the tying run to the plate. So by hook or by crook, they're trying to get on either via the bunt or whatever. Tony Pena took a shot there, and he'll try to walk that one off. Catchers do get beat to death, and Jeff Torborg, an excellent defensive catcher in his own right, knows that as well as anybody.
Torborg now just hoping. 1 ball, 1 strike, and 1 out. Joe Morgan a chance to hang in there, try and pick up some ground on Detroit and Toronto ahead of them in the East. 1-1 delivery. Guillen lets it go by. 2 balls and 1 strike.
Well, Joe was not discussing dinner plans. He was probably talking about the bullpen. Dennis Lamp, a right-hander down there. Tom Bolton. So should they be needed? He's probably wondering about their availability.
Boggs, who is in, and there are 2 down. Ozzie Guillen retired, 2 away, nobody on. Tim Raines try and keep this game going here in Chicago with the White Sox trailing 4-2. As Tony Fossis started his pro career in 1979, he did not get a major league appearance until 1988 for Texas, and then it was up and down after that. He's had less than 100 appearances at the major league level in all that time, but he's going to get a victory. Boggs to first base, and that will do it. And the Red Sox, refusing to die, win an extra inning ball game here, 4-2.
Certainly a great game. Carlos Quintana with the key hit. Shame for Boston is that Roger Clemens, who pitched a strong 7 innings, does not get the victory. But right now the Red Sox have won 2 baseball games in a row. They win 2 out of 3 in the series, and they lead the season series against the White Sox 7-2.
Fossis the winner, 1-1. Thigpen the loser, 5-3. Coming up next, Sports Center. Bob Lee, Dan Patrick standing by. They've got that interview with Joe DiMaggio, preview of the British Open, and a feature on the Rocket, who's ready to play some football. For Dave Campbell and all of our crew here in Chicago, this is Gary Thorne saying so long, reminding you our final score. The Red Sox on Quintana's 2 RBI single have won it by a score of 4-2. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Now let's take you back to John Saunders.